Let's blast off. Let's get started because there's so much to talk about. Is China day 5? Brother, Austin downloaded the app and the Chinese government said no more. That's crazy. I can't believe it. I cannot believe it. Oh, also, it's obviously Thursday, November 13th here. Or Thursday, November 13th there in Los Angeles, 1:50 p.m. It's 5:50 Friday, 14th here in China. China day 5, Epstein leaks threatened Trump shutdown. Trump shutdown over, Fetterman down, variety profile, Shanghai suit stream later. Get in now. It's Friday for you. Why are we not dancing? Stop. We'll do that tomorrow when it's Friday for you guys. I operate off of LA time, remember? Where's Mufasa? I operate off of LA time, remember? Can you show off the fit? I will. Hold on. Is it Austin's birthday again? No, we're done with Austin's birthday. We've done too much Austin birthday, okay? What's the future like? I mean, the future is sick. The future is Pog. Yes, I have the Fetterman fall. Don't worry. I will do Mufasa Friday tomorrow because technically it's Friday here, but I'm operating off of LA time, man. Jesus Christ. It's not Friday for you guys. It's Friday just for me. Y'all want to be Chinese so bad that you want to be on Beijing time. Yeah, you get 2 Fridays. All right, anyway, let's blast off. But yeah, one of the coolest things that happened yesterday was that Will and I have been looking for Chinese brands, right? We've been looking for Chinese fashion brands. And we've been looking for Chinese fashion brands this entire time. And we keep asking, young people in China and just like whoever, what the Chinese brands are. Right? Like what the poppin' Chinese brands are. And they just kept telling us, nah, Chinese brands are, it's not that great. It's not that great. And I literally think it's because a lot of young people in China, at least the ones that we talk to, all were so invested in like foreign brands that they just kept like, they think their own brands, like they think that Chinese brands are not that good. It could not be further from the fucking truth. I'm dressed up. I'm dripped up right now with the Chinese brand up and down. Look at this. Hold on. Look, I got these as well. I don't know if you can see because it's very dark, but yeah. It's called Army Fatigue. Person Soul are a Chinese brand. Oh, I've heard that one too. But the brand is called Army Logic. Vintage fashion. And honestly, it is fucking crazy. I was watching the VODs of you trying on the fit, and a lot of the comments are like, oh, these foreigners are unexpectedly into Chinese style. I think it's just that everyone in China grew up with Chinese aesthetics, so we're used to it. Yeah, it's so funny that like it's funny that like when we asked about this shit, when we asked for like Chinese brands, they were just like, it's fine. Like don't get Chinese stuff. It's boring. It's like what the Chinese shushu wear, the unks wear here, which I guess is true technically. Yeah, go get. They're like, go get something good. go get something good instead. Wow, this is sick. Person Soul. Oh, I can't wait to show this to Will. He's gonna fucking flip. This is it. Whoa, what the hell? This is like cyber cowboy. Wow. There's some really fucking cool stuff. Anyway, but yeah, I was like, we were late for the boat, right? We were late for the boat that we were about to go to on the river. And I was like, we have to go upstairs for a second. We also had a really interesting situation with this brand. I don't know what it's called, but it's a Japanese one. But anyway, I got this jacket from. But the person that was ringing us up had literally never encountered a fucking credit card. Okay? They had never encountered a credit card. I'm not even kidding. It was like a young dude, and he tried to ring us up with a credit card, and he would like shove the wrong side of the credit card, like the side that doesn't even have the chip, into the machine. I was like, I cannot believe it. Like I have never experienced that in my life. It was shocking. he was just like, I don't know what to do. Like I've literally never purchased anything or have been in a situation, as in, you know, the years that I've been in the service industry, I've never had to put a credit card into the pay machine. You're so American, bro. No, that's unique, man. That's fucking unique. Because it's not like they are a cash only business. They don't have any cash whatsoever. They don't use cash at all. They just have, they're so used to the digital pay system here that they don't even know what a credit card looks like, man. It's crazy. I'm telling you, it is the most insane thing I have ever experienced. Yeah, it's WeChat, WePay, or Alipay. Not many people use those apps in China. Hongshu and Seoul are what we use the most. Is for data for sure. What? CPC might scare of the US knowing which member is queer. Wait, what do you mean? Oh, the Bluey or whatever, the gay dating apps. Yeah, this was funny as well. Hold on, this was a funny moment. This is you know, I'll take it, but here. You know who we are? No. Oh, okay. All right, cool.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
So they're supposed to go to this dinner place, but are we still going?
Most of the SA is heading that way. Malaysia is all QR code based payments. You almost 40, Unc. You're not gonna get away with it forever. Yeah, I know. Where do you stream these? This was on Will Stream. This was on Will Stream. Oh yeah, BDBD users noticed something about you. Okay, here come the statements. Okay, here come the statements. Get a suit done. I'm going to. Does it feel weird to be streaming at 5 a.m. yet, or are you still on LA time? No, it does feel weird to be streaming at 5 a.m. This morning I woke up at 3 again on my own, and then I passed out, and I basically got up at like 4:50. Yeah, Chinese netizens getting involved is pretty funny. Where is it? Yeah. Apparently, they posted like Asmongold talking shit. Absolutely ridiculous. 2 foreign troll influencers forcefully mock China visiting blogger Hassan. The crown is about to change hands. Asmongold stream, we're wishing Hassan a happy birthday. I don't know how they truly feel about this. XQC knows nothing, just messing around. Previously promoted gambling and was opposed by Hassan, leading to a feud. He nitpicks every action and opinion of Hassan. Unrelated ideology, not on a level, just treated as an R-word entertainment. Where's the double standard? One shot at him and used tear gas. The other just verbally questioned him for a few minutes before letting him go. Can he really judge by the same standard? This guy should stick to what he's good at, playing games, watching dating shows, or biting his toenails. He really doesn't have the brain capacity to tackle serious topics. That's crazy. Bro, you guys are putting out such an insane amount of content. Watched most of your stream yesterday, then woke up to a 6-hour out on VOD on Will's channel. Absolute content demons law. Yeah. But, of course, that's the good. But then there's also the bad. Or this is also the good. Bilibili uploaders are working. Hassan's group stroll around the Bund. Hassan's group tours the Bund. America's top political streamer. Lemon Bro travels in Shanghai. Hassan tours Shanghai pedestrian street. There's a lot of these sorts of videos out there. They're popping off on BDVD, which is sick. And then I saw this. His body was so incredibly large, yet his head and face were so small. Okay, fuck is this? His body was so incredibly large, yet his head and face were so small. When he was sitting down, I didn't even realize how big he was just by looking at his face. And I, a woman, am much smaller than him, but my head and face are much bigger. And when I gain weight, my face gets bigger first. That's a compliment, right? Dude, how is this proportion so good? Tall, muscular, and a small head. What the fuck? The head to body and head to shoulder ratios are amazing. Have to admit, this blogger is really handsome. Can't describe how handsome. Fits the image of a tall Western man in our eyes. Young Stalin. Turkish descent, too westernized. I told you, man. I told you. That's right. Small head is a good thing in China. You pay way more than 20K for these comments, lol. Yeah. 20,000 yuan. Those are Twitch chatters who translated something into Chinese. Come on, lol. I think you can kind of tell when someone is a Twitch chatter and someone is not. You could cop the river reward fit. Oh shit, that is true. That's fire. East Asia loves small heads and small faces. One of my family members has literally said that small face equals compliment. Yeah, it's like when you eat a treat and you say not too sweet. I use that as a negative because I want something to be super sweet. But people in Asia are like, oh, not too sweet. A compliment. This video popped off of you getting the little red book. I can't tell how many views does this have. I have one too. My advisor gave it to me. It's obvious he really liked the gift. His first instinct upon receiving it was to share it, haha, but others seemed. Did you cut your hair, bro? No, I didn't. The video of you and Austin on the train got 4 million views on Bilibili. Oh shit, nice. Oh, 105,000 top left. Damn. Okay, the Bilibili videos are starting to pop off, dude. Did you ever get the bag to work with it? What do you mean? You can tell where the comments are from. They have their locations next to their comments. They were all provinces in China. Oh, IRL Toolkit and Bilibili. I did get it to work. Yes. And yes, I know my I like that you said your Vanity Fair article. It's literally Variety. You linked it. Yes. Please drink some caffeine. You look and sound really tired. Yeah, it's 6 a.m. I just woke up. Calm down. Bro, post the Variety photos on your Instagram. They're really good photos. Sure. Anyway, yeah, this was actually really special. A chatter gave me here. I'll show you some of the stuff, but one stream sniper gave me exclusive One Piece stuff that is only available in Shanghai, including this panda. Okay. One of the Chinese stream snipers gave me this, which is bird spit, right? It's like bird spit porridge. How do you say this? What is it called? And I will try this eventually. Or bird's nest. Sorry, it is bird spit. Yeah, nest spit. What is it called? Kapche? Is that what it is? No, do not try it. I heard it's like rough to eat. But yeah, it's rice with bird's nest, which is bird spit. Put it in the fridge. Yanwo, he said it was a different name for it, but yeah, apparently it's sweet as well. I got this also for free from the brand because I really like this cologne, and this is what I was talking about. This is an English printed version of quotations from Chairman Mao Zedong, and it is literally like this right here is an incredibly rare cultural artifact. And it even has the first page removed. It starts off with "Workers of all countries unite." From 1966. It's the English printed version from Foreign Languages Press in Peking, 1966. Quotations from Chairman Mao Zedong. First edition, printed in the People's Republic of China. There's also like a protective cover between the photo of Mao, and the first page is removed. It's this. Isn't that banned? Technically, no. There is not. I think there is not a first edition you can find. Like there are some, but they're super rare that has like the first page not removed because of. But even though the first page is removed, it still has the foreword. So I don't know. I don't know what was in the first page. I'm literally reading the book about specifically this, but basically it's because of Lin Biao. Am I saying his name right? And the history of whether or not he was like, I think it was like in the aftermath of his death, there was assertions that he had betrayed Mao and that he was like removed, like his legacy was tarnished, and he was removed from the due to an alleged coup plot. He was removed from the forward, but he still has the do you plan to address the hate campaign against Casey Tron? What hate campaign against Casey Tron? Like the regular, like the everyday one? What are you talking about? Like the same people that attack me all the time? Is that what you're saying? I'm in China, man. What is the book called? Quotations. Am I the only one hearing static? Probably. Why do you read chatters that have nothing to do with what you're talking about? I don't know, because I'm stupid. But you guys are also hearing static? Is it when I speak? No. Okay. Some people are not hearing it, and some people are hearing it, it seems. Yeah, we got a lot of stuff. We got a lot of good stuff. We got a lot of fun stuff. I can't believe I'm getting cooked like this, but at least I'm getting compared to the GOAT. No static for me? Hell yeah. Nice. In any case, we have the Variety article as well, which I will be getting into. But yeah, China's been going great. I'm having a great time, and I'll look at the gay dating app. I'll look at the gay dating app thing in a little bit. Do they have Twitch in China, or do Chinese viewers watch through a VPN or something? yes, a lot of Chinese people have VPNs, and they are totally tapped in. Like they know, like it's not like totally illegal or anything like that. It's just mostly just like, yeah. Going to apologies to the one chatter you yelled at yesterday. You reposted her TikTok about her saying she was just trying to make a joke. Yeah, I didn't even see the TikTok. I just reposted it. I saw that I was yelling at someone who was like making a statement. I'm sorry, chatter. I don't know why chatters do this. Like, what are you, the fucking hall monitor? What is this? Yeah, no harm, no foul. You know what I mean? Like, why are you scolding me? Do you want to get yelled at? Like she or he made a joke about it, and you know, I'm sorry. What's the biggest surprise from China so far? I don't know. I'm such a China weeb in general. Like that, nothing I've seen thus far has really been that shocking, except for how much people will literally fucking move through you. Okay? Like I said, Chinese people are very direct. They're very straightforward. Okay? If they want to go on a straight line, they are going to go on a straight line. And sometimes you're going to be in that straight line and they will just get you out of the way. Whether they're on a Vespa, an e-bike, or a little train, like a little baby train that goes through a mall, is crazy. But I have never been anywhere in the world where a bunch of little tiny old ladies, okay, will just straight up be like, move. Also, I've been all around the world, as you guys know, and this is the first time I've had like the whole crowds forming everywhere we go to look at us thing. Like it didn't happen in Japan, but only because we rarely ever left Tokyo when we were in Japan, so it doesn't count, right? But even in Shanghai, a light version of the Blue app remains available on Chinese app stores. According to checks by the BBC, some other gay and bisexual dating apps are also available in the country, like Jitko and Jacked. You think the rest of the group is enjoying it? They're loving it. But I knew I was going to love it anyway. But I'm glad that the rest of the group is also enjoying it now, because I'm glad that the rest of the group is also enjoying it, because I was worried that they were not going to like it as much. But it's also impossible not to like it, man. It's just like if you like developed major metropolitan cities with a lot of art, history, culture, good public transit, cool amenities, why the fuck wouldn't you enjoy China? They have all of that and more. You know what I mean? Girl, they about to jump you in Chengdu Gay City if you don't twerk. Yeah, I'm gonna get my ass beat then, because I don't know how to twerk Chinese style. Yeah, the Vanity Fair article came out as well, but talk to me about Fetterman news, man. All right, dude, here, okay, here.
Right, when we see it, you see it. Got a little bit of breaking news. Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman took a fall near his home. His staff just sent out this statement on X. Here it is. They explained during an early morning walk, Senator Fetterman sustained a fall near his home in Braddock. They say as out of an abundance of caution, he was transported to a hospital in Pittsburgh. Upon evaluation, wait until you see it now. By all accounts, he's doing well, getting observed, and we'll continue following this story, of course.
What if he became a socialist now? I'm just saying. What if this flipped him back?
Senator has made headlines before for some health concerns, but he is choosing to strike a lighter tone. It sounds like he's grateful to the EMTs and
speedy recovery so that he can finally turn socialist once again. What happened to the fucking light in here? Am I crazy? Did the light just like flip off? Damn, the color grading in this fucking room, man. You still look young. Bitch, I'm 34. Guess what legacy he's most proud of? The light is normal what? It looks orange. The room looks orange. You went from China to Mexico? Yeah. Anyway, free Fetty Wap, man. Yeah. And of course, this is John Fetterman's legacy. Senator John Fetterman in a video 2 days prior, in a video message to the World Jewish Congress dinner after being honored with the Theodore Herzl Award, says, proudest thing I've ever done in my entire Senate career is to stand for Israel and the Jewish community worldwide through this horrible war in Gaza. Thanks, man. That's sick. That's sick, dude. Nice. Good job. Netanyahu just tweeted out, Israel did not trip John Fetterman. What an odd thing to say. Yeah, my sources are telling me that John Fetterman was about to turn on Israel any moment now. Any moment now. Yeah, they were. Yeah, what happened is he outlived his usefulness to Israel, and they were like, all right, it's time to burn this asset. Footage of the fall. Okay, dude, I know exactly what this is because this is MHUD's most treasured. This is MHUD's most treasured video. That's not the real fall. Okay, that's not. For those, I'm not doing fake news. That's not actually John Fetterman. Just someone who looks like him. Okay. Megyn Kelly's some wild shit. I know, but let's do the Epstein stuff first.
From the congressional release of files related to Jeffrey Epstein, including emails in which the convicted sex offender mentions Donald Trump. Pressure is growing this morning for more of the Epstein files to be released by the Justice Department. Chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce is tracking the latest. Good morning, Mary.
Good morning, George. And these messages are sparking fresh questions about President Trump's relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. The White House denies any wrongdoing by the president, but the administration still refuses to release the full FBI files on Epstein. And now this morning on Capitol Hill, an effort to force their release is finally moving forward. This morning, as the White House downplays newly released emails from convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein repeatedly discussing President Trump, an effort on Capitol Hill to force a vote on the release of the full Epstein files, garnering its final signature. Congresswoman Adelita Grijalva sworn in after a 7-week delay, signing on to the petition to force a vote on the files' release as her first act in Congress.
I will sign the discharge petition right now to release the Epstein files.
The White House is well aware that a vote would put Republicans in an uncomfortable position. Many of the president's supporters have previously.
Are you still talking about this Jeffrey Epstein stuff? Folks, are we still talking about it? Nobody cares about this Jeffrey Epstein fellow. Everybody knows. Everybody knows Jeffrey Epstein is a bad guy. Why are people still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? What, the hoax? Jeffrey Epstein? A finance man, a New York financier. Is that who you're talking about? Just now telling me this. You're just now telling me this. This guy, he never dies. He never dies. My favorite part is that Levitt says he was a pedophile and a creep. Meanwhile, Trump is the one who was associated with him. I don't think that helps your case. Yeah, I don't know why they're. You still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. Are people still talking about this guy, this creep? Unbelievable. Which Epstein are you talking about? Which one? Which one? My neighbor from Palm Springs, is that the one? The financier, the New York financier, very famous guy, loves him young, just like I do. Or are you talking about Jeffrey Epstein that I know? My friend, my good friend, Jeffrey Epstein. That's right, believe it. Or are you talking about the bad guy? He's a bad guy. Your Trump impressions have changed? Yeah, because I was live for 17 hours yesterday and my voice is shot. Yeah, Adam Johnson. Epstein must have had some banger financial advice. Everyone who gets caught emailing him had fun last week. Winky face insists that they had to talk to him post-conviction because of his financial and/or philanthropic advice was just too goddamn irreplaceable. He just had a knack for it, I guess. This raises a good question, says Jeet here. Is there actually any email where he's offering financial advice? Some vague donor stuff, but not really. Gates keeps giving this line. He hung out with Epstein multiple times because Epstein had access to donors for public health, and not once does anyone ask the obvious question, who specifically is this person? Who are these people who Bill Gates cannot, on his own, get in touch with? Yes. Noam Chomsky, a lot more connected to Jeffrey Epstein than we previously knew as well, by the way. Noam Chomsky literally met with Lula in prison and then connected Lula to Epstein. Libertarians, man. Freaking, dude, I'm sorry, but you got to hold that L. If you're anarcho-syndicalist, if you're a libertarian socialist out here today, not a good day, you know? Not a good day for the lib socks. I mean, he's like 954 years old, so it is what it is, you know, at this point. But goddamn, You can't be outraged by the Epstein saga and simultaneously not be outraged by the fact that we have Muslims serving in Congress. Wait, what? What does that even... I'm sorry. What the fuck? Wait, how is this? She's just saying things that piss her off, I guess. Like, you can't be outraged by the Jeffrey Epstein stuff and then not be outraged by the fact that I was refused service at my local coffee shop earlier today. Like, what do you mean? She just said, Muslims exist. How is that a thing? This to me is the perfect distillation of all of the Israel Defense Force attitudes, right? This is the perfect summarization of it. It's like, oh yeah, you're talking about how Israel has an unimaginably connected network of espionage at the domestic level and a pervasive network of influence, a corrosive influence on American domestic affairs. But also Muslims exist. You know, there's Muslims around us, right? Remember the Muslims? Islam. Like, that's it. She just panicked. It feels like she panicked and just did the purest form of this thing that I've been talking about for like the last month or so. The Israel Advocacy Networks basically realizing that they can't do pro-Israel commentary and content anymore in the Western world. So they're deciding to just hit the fuck Muslims line over and over again, which is pretty funny. Congratulations, I guess. Yeah, also defending Chuck Schumer. This is going to genuinely cause people to never want to associate with Laura Loomer on the right, by the way. Even on the left, there's a movement to remove all Jewish voices from politics. This is happening on the left and right. It's very calculated. Yeah, I don't think Laura Loomer and other people realize that this kind of attitude, this kind of like hysteria only breeds more resentment towards her, towards Zionists, and also Jewish people as well. Like you're defending Chuck Schumer. Your own base is going to turn around. Your own base is going to turn around and be like, what do you... So you do care only about Jewish people, I guess, is what the response to that is going to look like. But let's continue with the Presidente.
Called for their release. In an
Pee-pee, President pedophile.
attempt to stop the petition, top White House and Justice Department officials, including the Attorney General and FBI Director, attempting to pressure Congresswoman Lauren Boebert into removing her name from it, meeting with her Wednesday in the Situation Room. But it didn't work. Boebert, ultimately one of 4 Republicans who signed on in support. We pressed the White House.
But given your interest in transparency, Caroline, why are White House officials then meeting with Representative Boebert in an effort to try and get her to not sign this petition calling for the release of the files?
Doesn't it show transparency that members of the Trump administration are willing to brief members of Congress whenever they please?
It comes just hours after House Democrats released those emails.
Yeah, no, that definitely is what it shows. The question was about lack of transparency about these files that are, that's information the public wants to know, and how Donald Trump is thwarting the efforts to release those files, as in transparency. Excuse me, why won't you applaud our transparent efforts to deny you more information about this thing, about the president being deeply connected to an Israeli Mossad CIA sex trafficking network operator? Why won't you recognize how transparent we are being, how forthcoming we are being about how we're stopping you from finding out more information about this thing?
Obtained from the Epstein estate, showing the convicted sex offender discussing Trump and seeming to suggest he had information he never shared. In a 2011 exchange with his co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein writing the quote, "dog that hasn't barked is Trump," adding one of his victims spent hours with Trump at Epstein's home, but that Trump had never once been mentioned. Maxwell replying, "I have been thinking about that." House Republicans in the White House identifying the victim as Virginia Giuffre, who once worked at Trump's spa at Mar-a-Lago. Giuffre said she never saw Trump do anything inappropriate. She died by suicide earlier this year. In a 2018 text exchange, someone whose name is redacted wrote to Epstein, "It will all blow over. They're really just trying to take down Trump and doing whatever they can to do that." The context of the message is unclear, but Epstein responding, "It's wild because I am the one able to take him down." Trump and Epstein were friends for more than a decade.
Have you socialized with him?
Yes, sir.
Yes?
Yes, sir.
Have you ever socialized with Donald Trump in the presence of females under the age of 18?
Though I'd like to answer that question, at least today, I'm going to have to assert my 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment rights, sir.
After Epstein's arrest in 2019, Trump said he hadn't spoken to him in 15 years. He insists he broke off the friendship when he learned Epstein and Maxwell were luring away young female staffers who worked at Mar-a-Lago.
He stole people that worked for me. I said, don't ever do that again. He did it again, and I threw him out of the place, persona non grata. I threw him out, and that was it.
In a 2019 email to author Michael Wolff, Epstein writing, "Trump said he asked me to resign. Never a member ever." Of course, he knew about the girls as he asked Ghislaine to stop. Now, Ghislaine Maxwell is currently serving a 20-year sentence for sex trafficking. Sources say she's angling for a pardon, and when asked about it, Trump hasn't ruled it out. Now, as for that petition to force the files release, Speaker Johnson, who's gone to great lengths to...
That was one of the crazier defenses from the Trump side, by the way. Okay, we're getting increasingly more orange. I have to fix this shit. What the hell? I have no idea how to fix this, but we have to fix this. This is crazy. I am the most orange I've ever been. He's orange for an amazing reason. This is like Mexico filter. You can set the white balance on the camera to auto and have less orange reddish tint. I don't know how to do it. No, it is auto white balanced right now. Wait, what the fuck? Wait, I didn't even touch anything and it automatically fixed it. How is that? That's so strange. Anyway, the camera's tired of your shit. I know. And I got the gray bars. Oh my God, everything is fucking up. It's because you left the camera in auto white balance for the lighting in the room without you in the frame. True. Bro, I said Mexico filter. Oh no, you sound sicky. Yeah, I mean, who would have thought? I'm 34. And as a 34-year-old, sleeping like 4 hours every night on the entire other side of the planet. Yeah, it's the window in the back. I got it. I know. It's insane how Twitter liberals are losing their minds over you being in China and enjoying it. That was expected. That was expected. It is what it is. It is what it is, chatters.
Avoid a vote, now says he'll bring it to the floor next week.
Right, and you talk about great links, Mayor. Pretty extraordinary to have the
I'll lower the game.
Attorney General and the FBI Director in the White House Situation Room lobbying a member of Congress. We've never really seen anything like that before.
We certainly haven't, George. They are going to great lengths, as you said, to try and stop these full files from being released. But as we said, that effort simply didn't work here yesterday.
Mary Bruce, thanks.
This morning, the pressure is mounting on President Trump and the Justice Department to release all of the files related to the Jeffrey Epstein investigation. After a House committee made public 20,000 more pages of documents, the House is now set to vote on the matter next week. And among those demanding full transparency...
You know what I find particularly crazy about this entire story? And I have not met anybody that's like giving me a reasonable answer on this, but I did see someone. I saw someone on Twitter talk about it like this was a positive. Like someone on Twitter was like, "Oh, you mean to tell me Joe Biden's weaponized DOJ was sitting on all this information and they didn't use it?" And I looked at that and I was like, yeah, why didn't he use this? Like it just in general. Like that's not a good thing. That's a bad thing that Biden just like didn't bring this up. Hello? That's not a positive for Biden. That's a negative. I know the argument that you are trying to craft here is that there is no weaponized DOJ, but like it kind of pisses me off that they were sitting on this stuff. The files were sealed. No, I mean, it kind of feels like they know. They knew a lot more than they let on. And the fact that we were just not, the fact that we were kept in the dark about this is crazy. But I think it's because of the Israel connection, for sure.
Epstein's survivors. Here is one of those survivors who talked to Aaron Burnett.
We need the government to release everything that's in these files, of course, with the appropriate redactions to protect the privacy of the survivors. But we really need this information to be out there so these crimes can be investigated. I think it's really upsetting to us that this is so politicized when it's not a political issue. This was a crime, and it's a crime of sex trafficking, and we really just want to see justice for the crime that happened to us.
Survivor Liz Stein there just asking for justice. CNN's Harry Enton is here with us. Now, look, when you talk to you hear from the victims, it is very clear what they want. They've made that clear again and again. What does the American public think about how Donald Trump has been handling the Epstein files compared to all the other issues that he brought up during the campaign?
Yeah, you know, Donald Trump is underwater on basically every single issue he ran on in 2024. But the Epstein files, the Epstein case, are especially dreadful for him. What are we talking about here? Well, let's take a look at Trump's approval rating on the issue. Look, they're all in red. They're all in the negative territory. But on immigration, you know, he's 5 points underwater. Foreign policy, 8 points. Trade and tariffs, he's 7.
Why didn't Biden release the files? Besides that question showing how little you understand about the basic government, the better question is the Biden? No, it's not even this. This is not the tweet I was looking at. I've seen a bunch of other liberals also post this tweet, though. Like, the tweet I saw was basically straightforwardly defending Biden not releasing the files because, like, the DOJ is not weaponized. And I was like, I think you're missing the forest for the trees here. I think the real question is, why didn't they release it?
18 points, the economy, 18 points. But look at the Epstein case. He is 39 points below water on the Epstein case. His net approval is 39 points in the negative. My goodness gracious. What Donald Trump has been selling on the Epstein files, the Epstein case, the American people, simply put, have not been buying at all, Sarah Seidner.
All right, so is there any sign that things have gotten better since there have been some things that have been released?
Yeah, okay.
Although released by Democrats.
There have been some things that have been released. Donald Trump has been trying to make some sort of case saying that, you know, the folks don't necessarily care about it. But take a look here. Approve of the Trump admin on the Epstein case in early July, right, when you had those DOJ droppings, right? It was 17%. Look at where we were by late September, the latest poll I could find it. 20%. You know, we often talk about Donald Trump having this floor, right, of at about 40%. On this particular issue, he is less than half the level of the supposed floor. There's just nobody. There is just nobody in the electorate who is buying this. They do not like the way that the Trump administration has been handling this case one iota.
Republicans have generally said they like what Donald Trump is doing, generally speaking. How do they feel about the Epstein case?
They're doing, this is John King style election coverage, but on Trump's Trump's pedophilia allegations. This is the state of affairs. This is the dire state of affairs in the United States of America, where we're straight up doing Super Bowl style coverage over whether the president fucked children or not. It is insane. What the hell, man? What the hell? And then people fucking yell at me over going to China and visiting. Brother, hit the escape anywhere you can, okay? Any moment that you spend away from the United States of America is probably good at this stage. You know, take a trip down to Mexico. See other countries for a little bit. You know, it's time. Sometimes it's good to just cool off from America just a little bit, you know? Because this is what we're up to. This is what's popping off in the United States of America. Like, we've already moved on from the president diddling children, and we're now looking at like whether the president's base of support is still on board with the president diddling children, okay? They're like, yeah, what are you going to do? The president diddled kids. But also, like, you know, is that chill? Is that cool or not with the people who voted for the president? How many people are saying, no, you don't understand. I voted for him because he was diddling kids, for example. That's awesome. That's where we're at.
Okay, so you see, approve of Trump on the Epstein case. This is overall, right? And you see 17%, you say 20%. That is way below the 40% floor that Donald Trump supposedly has. How does that possibly happen? It's because of Republicans. Because look at this number. Okay, Republicans who approve of Trump's job as president, 87%. That is basically in line with the long-term average, 85, 90, 95%. But look at the Trump admin's job on the Epstein case. Just 45% of Republicans, less than half of Republicans.
He's got to be doing it on purpose, right? When he says Trump admins, like, it has to be on purpose, right? I know that's not the point, but goddamn, I can't stop paying attention to him going, the Trump admins, the Trump admins. Mr. Holy Toledo is basically speaking a different language than all of us. You might think he's speaking English, but he has invented his own version. Did you see liberal Spider-Man get his brain bricked by pedo debate bros finally? I did not. I don't know what you mean by that either, but the current truths for hogs are, do you want dear leader to diddle kids or Democrats to change their gender without parents' consent? Yeah. So, okay. So yeah, the question in the minds of Republicans is, do you want a real active potential pedophile to remain being president, or do you want insert made up thing, insert made up concept? What? We've entered the raping children isn't bad territory? Oh, no. I mean, I guess for some people, it's already kind of been there, right? And it's not just like random people that liberal Spider-Man is debating that's trying to hit the old school lines of pedophilia defense. It's also Megyn Kelly. But let's take a look at what this...
Are you asking me why it's wrong to rape children?
Yeah, I need you to tell me why it is wrong in your eyes
to rape children.
To do that. Yes. Do you need me to repeat it? Can you not hear me? Do you have too many talks in your ears, or what's up? Why is it wrong? Is that too hard of a question? You can mute me with the background noise if you want. I'm ready to hear your answer.
You know, it's really funny because I did talk to Dean about this eventually happening to him, because as you guys know, this is basically where you end up arriving at when you do debates. Like, you will always eventually arrive at a guy who wants to debate this. Hello, I've been seeing clips of you and wanted to come check you out to debunk the slander. Been watching for a few days. Hell yeah. I hope you are enjoying the show, I guess, even though the show that we are watching currently is the fall of America in the hands of straight up pedophiles and their defenders. Not exactly the best time.
It's happening. It's actually happening.
That pearl clutching is so beta. Why don't you actually answer the question?
The pearl clutching is so beta. I feel like anybody that Dean talks to is just faking. I'm sorry. I just can't in good conscience believe that this is a real human being. Like, I feel like they just really, like, they're trolling, right? They have to be. Fantastic context that you warned him. Yes. I mean, I've seen it. I've seen it happen. Every single one of these guys, not Dean, I'm saying, but like every single one of these like people who love debating and enjoy the spirit of debate end up trying to find an issue that in their minds they can rationalize. I don't know if they are like actual honest to God pedophiles, but it probably, I mean, they most likely are, right? Because otherwise, why the fuck would you ever even think about like logically trying to justify this sort of thing, right? And yeah, I mean, that's just what it is. That's just how this works. That's how it always works. You start off with like something innocuous, maybe a political disagreement you have with the other side, and then boom, one day you constantly keep increasing the intensity over and over and over again about like the subject matter that you want to discuss, and you're like, ooh, what's the most like untouchable subject matter? It's always incest and then eventually pedophilia.
It's actually happening. He's calling me a pearl clutcher for saying that child rape is wrong.
No, because I asked the question. Why are you?
I didn't think this one would happen.
Yeah, you were wrong. They were definitely always going to move there, both on the debate side, but also they were definitely always going to move there on the Trump side. This is like traditional conservatism, by the way. This is like the OG libertarians. Yeah, GOP 1984, It's Morning in America, 2000, Compassionate Conservatism, 2020. The proper term is ephebophilia. Let the history record that I called it in 2017, says Jeet here. And he did. He did call it. He was just a little too early. They needed to wait. This is from 2017. But the reason why he was able to call this is because, like, as I've talked about before, a lot of these influential libertarian thinkers, for example, they have had very similar takes, okay? And if the heart of your movement, if the like logical conclusion of your movement for some is anarcho-capitalism or like, you know, libertarianism in the way that Americans understand it, right? Then yeah, it's eventually going to move in that direction. And if you have more authoritarian tendencies, and libertarianism also is like, you know, devastating, chaotic, all this stuff. But like, if you have the more authoritarian tendencies, you're going to become like, depending on whether you think you should be able to smoke weed and that, you know, migrants should be able to travel freely, you will either become the maximum bottom right quadrant libertarian who also will argue about lowering age of consent laws or abolishing it in its entirety, or you'll go to the top right quadrant where you will become a Nazi and you will advocate to put migrants in concentration camps. You will still most likely become a pedophile, though. I don't know why, but that's just how it works. I think a lot of people enjoy like getting a rise out of the other person that they're talking to, and then they like slowly but surely entertain this stuff, and they go, haha, I'm rage baiting. But like, they don't realize, and this is something that I've seen on the internet quite a bit, they don't realize that in the process of rage baiting, you look like a pedophile, right? Like, you are outing yourself as a pedophile. I think that the corrosive aspect of that kind of back and forth communication, of course, is that it normalizes it a little bit. Not even a little bit, but a lot. And I don't like that. I don't want to live in a world where pedophilia is considered appropriate, and yet here we are. Anyway, so that's that was Dean's approach.
As for
but here it is. Here is the other side of this. The intellectual giant of Megyn Kelly, talking to Batya Ungar Sargon of Akkad, or whatever the fuck her name is. Megyn Kelly.
As for Epstein, I've said this before, but just as a reminder, I do know somebody very, very close to this case who is in a position to know virtually everything. Not everything, but virtually everything. And this person has told me from the start, years and years ago, that Jeffrey Epstein, in this person's view, was not a pedophile. This is this person's view, who was there for a lot of this, but that he was into the barely legal type. Like, he liked 15-year-old girls.
Barely legal? No. That's not barely legal. Barely legal is 18 plus. 15 is not barely legal, Megan. 15 is illegal, actually. Like, very much so. And for the record, I hate the fucking counters on this shit, because people will be like, well, actually, what about Romeo and Juliet laws? And it's like, yeah, okay. Romeo and Juliet laws are so that that people that are in the age range that started dating before one of the two people actually became 18 years old, so they don't like unnecessarily go to fucking prison, okay? That's not for like a 50-year-old to try and date a 15-year-old. That's for, you know, a 16-year-old and a 15-year-old dating, and then one party becomes 18 and the other one is 17. That's what Romeo and Juliet laws are for, okay? So I don't know why you're running around with this like laminated card of Romeo and Juliet statutes in every fucking state. What the fuck? Incredible work, man. Incredible work. Wait, hold on. Where is it? Oh.
And I realize this is disgusting. I'm definitely not trying to make an excuse for this. I'm just giving you facts. That he wasn't into like 8-year-olds, but he liked the very young teen types that could pass for even younger than they were, but would look legal to a passerby. And that is what I believed, and that was what I reliably was told for many years. And it wasn't until we heard from Pam Bondi that they had tens of thousands of videos of alleged, forgive me, they used to call it kiddie porn. Now they call it child sexual abuse material on his computer that for the first time I thought, oh, no, he was an actual pedophile. I mean, only a pedophile gets off on young children abuse videos. She's never clarified it. I don't know whether it's true. I have to be honest. I don't really trust Pam Bondi's word on the Epstein matters anymore. Yeah, so I don't know what's true about him, but we have yet to see anybody come forward and say, I was I was under 10. I was under 14 when I first came within his purview. Look, you can say that's a distinction without a difference.
No, it's not.
I think there is a difference. Yeah. There's a difference between a 15-year-old and a 5-year-old. You know, it's just whatever.
Thank you. That's cool. That's a cool. Thank you. There's a distinction between a 15-year-old and a 5-year-old. That's insane, man. That's fucking insane. The only people who are arguing for this are people who get off on having power over someone or have been convinced that they should want to be controlled. They like being able to be in control. I mean, yeah. Okay, you probably have a daughter or a child that is that age, right? How would you feel if Jeffrey Epstein was trying to and was actually moving her around the world without her consent because she is incapable of consenting and having sex with her, raping her? Because that's what it is. It's not devoid of consent, so it is rape. Like, do you think it's appropriate? Megyn Kelly defending pedophilia before GTA 6 was not on my timeline. I mean, if you know how Republicans operate, then you know that it's not. Yeah, what makes it extra gross is Megyn Kelly's a preteen daughter. Are you okay with Donald Trump having sex with yardlers or other people's sacrifice? That's crazy that she literally has a daughter that is at the same. I dead no hella predators, but I still hang with them just to see how their mind work. That tweet is so funny. I can't believe we just snapped into something humorous in a not so humorous situation. But like, I don't know, controversial opinion, guys. But I think we should keep the social stigma around pedophilia. And before people go, actually, it's a phebophilia. The argument that you're presenting, as I always like to say, is that you think some minors are fuckable. Okay? Because that's what you're saying. When you say, actually, it's a phebophilia, it's not a baby, you're just parsing through. Like, technically, even if you are correct in terms of, like, the designation between, like, children versus preteens, okay, the argument that you're presenting is that you find some minors, some kids, to be sexually attractive, and you are trying to justify having sex with them, raping them. It's fucking insane. Like, you're basically saying, like, there's a different type of pedophilia that I think is fine, which, you know, maybe controversial take. Yeah, before people say classic John Marco joke, by the way, I've been saying that for years, okay? He has a really good joke about this, for sure. But in all of my many years of duking it out in the marketplace with debate lords, I've often used this counter argument over and over again. The distinction only matters in the realm of psychopathology. Yeah, it's black-pilled Andrew Fogel. I can't believe I spent like 10 years studying the immortal science of dialectical materialism only to find out that the central truth of American politics is that we are governed by demonic pedophile cabal. What if all the authoritarian purges in China are just protecting these people from pedophile-occupied government? Pog. Yeah, it's not Zog. It turns out it's Pog. That's the one unifying factor, it seems. Okay? It's just these guys, regardless of their ideological leanings, their worldview or their, you know, background, religious beliefs, it's actually Pog. They are united in the one singular thing. Turns out the conspiracy theorists were right, that these guys all just find themselves captivated by the allure of this very famous pedophile sex trafficker. What an insane moment, dude. Anyway, let's hear what AOC had to say about the Epstein stuff.
I'm wondering, you saw these emails that came out from the House Oversight Committee. What do you think it shows you about what we know about Trump's relationship with Epstein?
Well, you know, I think we've been seeing Republicans have been trying to deflect and imply that, I mean, even House Speaker Mike Johnson had insinuated a couple months ago that Trump was on some kind of secret mission. I think what these emails demonstrate is precisely why House Republicans have been trying to block the release of the Epstein files for months now. I think it illustrates in a very damning way, and I think it also implicates House Speaker Mike Johnson as well as to why he has refused to call the House back into session for over a month now and prevent the 218th signature from releasing the Epstein files, which is that, you know, it seems as though Donald Trump had a very close personal relationship with Jeffrey Epstein and that he had personally spent time with victims in the Epstein operation. And I think that this is just, I mean, it's horrifying. It's horrifying.
GOP. Guardians of pedophiles. Good one, chatter. Will the hardcore Trumpers ever come around on this? Or are they just going to heavily chip around the margins? I think some will.
Buying what the administration is telling. Look, we're not necessarily sure whether or not this case has moved the ball on Trump's overall approval rating yet, but I can tell you that the more that this case is in the news, the worse it is for Donald Trump, because simply put, it is his worst issue by far.
We could be seeing a vote on this next week. This case is not going away anytime soon.
It is not going away.
New York Times also dropped this bombshell investigative report on Matt Gaetz. New for the first time, the story of the 17-year-old girl who testified that she had sex with Matt Gaetz for money. She was living in and out of homeless shelter. She was working at McDonald's. She had just finished her junior year in high school, and she wanted extra money to try and save up to pay for braces to fix her teeth. Dude, this country is so fucked. Like, this is evil shit on the Matt Gaetz side. Absolutely. But like, the system is also demonic. You have to understand, this is a twofer. The system is demonic first and foremost because we have victimized this 17-year-old. No 17-year-old should be homeless, man. No one should be homeless. A 17-year-old girl who is homeless is living in a homeless shelter while working a job at McDonald's, finishing her junior year in high school, and then doing this to pay for braces to fix her teeth. Do you think Democrats are on it too? I think they have anything. Think they have anything to worry about? Yes. What? Yes. Chatter. Yes. What did I just say? It's POG. Pedophile occupied government is bipartisan. Is uniparty. Pedophilia is uniparty. Okay. What do you mean? Bill Clinton is like the most famous and perhaps the most like. Bill Clinton is the most famous example of like a high profile Democrat who was directly associated with Jeffrey Epstein. And the reason why a lot of Republicans actually got on the Epstein train and were constantly needling at it, constantly talking about it, was because they thought this was a Democrat pedophile operation. They thought this would finally, they thought that this would finally expose the elite pedophile cabal that the Democrats were running, not realizing that it was just bipartisan always. Okay? It was bipartisan all along. It's crazy that you sound like QAnon, but not crazy. Who'd have thought we'd end up here? I mean, I've always been I've always paid close attention to the Epstein stuff, as you guys know, for many, many years. So this is not that shocking to me. It was always also a nuisance for me to constantly have to like go over the QAnon stuff and like redirect people's attention to real events like the Epstein conspiracy, not a conspiracy theory, but a conspiracy that conspired to do crimes, as opposed to like the most nonsensical versions of these events, which revolve around, you know, QAnon and Pizzagate and conspiracies of that sort. I know we jokingly offered lip service to Pizzagate now, but Pizzagate is like the most base boosted and silly version of this. And in many ways, it serves the purpose of a distraction away from the real version of events. Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein, in an email to former Obama Deputy Counsel Kathy Rumler, suggested providing girls to illicit powerful figures, including Palantir co-founder Peter Thiel, who, by the way, as you guys know, is J.D. Vance's mega donor, and the reason why J.D. Vance is the vice president to begin with. Peter Thiel is single-handedly responsible for J.D. Vance becoming a senator, and Peter Thiel is almost single single-handedly responsible for J.D. Vance becoming the vice president. Also, former CIA Director William Burns, Bill Burns, former UK Prime Minister Gordon Brown, former Norwegian Prime Minister Thorbjørn Jagland, former Mongolian president, and officials from the UAE, India, and Qatar. Talking to Obama Deputy Counsel Kathy Rumler about the UN General Assembly in 2014. Most girls didn't have to worry about this crap. Understood it comes down to high risk reward, low risk reward, professional, emotional, and financial. Agreed, but I need to be prepared to say yes before I talk to him. You need to talk to boss. I think this email is not indicating he was arranging girls for all of them, but the word girls got him to say, careful, I will renew an old habit. I don't know. You always go to a different country when shit is hella fucked here. Okay, but you also have to realize shit is hella fucked in America all the time. So it's impossible for me to... I would have to just like stay... Even if I stayed in America the entire time, I would still encounter this kind of thing because it's just like virtually impossible. If you are covering American politics, there's going to be some fuck shit happening. America is a very fucked up country, right? Your comments about Gal Gadot got tweeted by Variety and it's getting good feedback. I know, I saw. So I did a Variety profile. And we're going to get into that. Actually, we should just get into that right now. And there were some choice words in the profile. There was a really funny pre-watch Piker moment in the profile as well. I hit a big gamble and struck gold in the profile. Israel did not kill Charlie Kirk. That is insane. The World According to Hassan Piker by Tatiana Siegel. Okay? Hassan Piker is about to prove his point. For weeks, the wildly popular Twitch streamer and leftist commentator has been following the online discourse surrounding the assassination of Charlie Kirk. The topic is personal for Piker, who was scheduled to debate Kirk at Dartmouth College 15 days after the right-wing political activist was gunned down at a Utah campus. Authorities charged college student Tyler Robinson with the crime, but lately a civil war has erupted among conservatives over conspiratorial claims that the Mossad had a hand in the murder. You would be surprised at how many people believe that stuff, he says, as he mulls the menu options of the crowded Chelsea restaurant on a brisk October morning. When our waiter arrives, Piker turns to the 20-something hipster. Can I ask you a question? Who is the most likely person that killed Charlie Kirk, he asks. I think it was Israel. It seems like an inside job, the server replies hesitantly before heading back to the kitchen for Piker's cold brew. The answer comes as a shock to me, but it's no surprise to the extremely online millennial who acknowledges that he is fascinated by conspiracy theories. I literally was talking to her about this mid-interview, and she couldn't believe it. She's like, what? You think a lot of people think that, like, Israel killed Charlie Kirk? And I was like, here, I'll show you. And I straight up turned to the waiter, and I was like, hey, man, you heard about the Charlie Kirk stuff, right? And he was like, yeah. Like, who do you think did it? He said, straight up, Israel. I watch every Candace Owens, Piker says, referring to the new media star of the far right who has fanned the flames of the Israel theory. He nods in the direction of our waiter. Is the reason why I know exactly where he is coming from with the Charlie Israel thing. For me, no matter how far-fetched the conspiracy is, if it is getting 2 million views in 24 hours, that means a lot of people are tuning into it. That means a lot of people are paying attention to it. And in this day and age, I think a lot of people are believing it. Piker feels no allyship with Owens, even if they share the belief that Israel is a malignant force. He is merely a student of the attention economy, a space in which he is thriving. With nearly 3 million followers on Twitch and 1.75 million YouTube subscribers, the 34-year-old influencer seems like a possible answer to the next question of when the left will find its own Joe Rogan. As the next generation turns more conservative and alpha males like Andrew Tate ascend, Piker offers an alternative vision and the rare ability to sway an election. As an early and enthusiastic supporter of Zohran Mamdani, Piker played a key role in helping catapult the New York mayoral candidate to Gracie Mansion by spreading the Democrat socialist message to his legion of fans. With our waiter out of earshot, Piker drops his voice discreetly. Israel did not kill Charlie Kirk. That's insane, he says. I did that for you because you were shocked. When the waiter returns with our order, he tells Piker that he's comping the cold brew. Wait, why? Piker asks. I just like your vibe, the server says. Two-fold critique of it. On this morning, guys, of course it's true. It's because I talk to people all the time. It's not fucking fake. Like, when I say I talk to people, regular folks, on a daily basis, this is what I mean. And I think many people don't do that. Many people do not do that. Many people don't just go out and talk to random people like they are regular people. Okay? That's part of the reason why I love talking to Uber drivers in general as well. That's another reason. Because regular folks got some crazy ass theories. I don't talk to Uber drivers because I'm live. I talk to Uber drivers when I'm offline as well. Anyway, on this morning, Piker's just arrived via red eye from his home in Los Angeles for an appearance at the New Yorker Festival. His inclusion in the lineup already sparked a wave of outrage. Wearing a no-logo sweatshirt, sweatpants, and a Free Palestine wristband, and an Apple Watch carrying a small Gucci bag that holds his Zyn supply, Piker signals a cross between conspicuous consumption and Bernie bro. Lurking beneath a camo hat emblazoned with the word thieves is a mind that poses one of the biggest PR threats to the pro-Israel set. The Jersey-born, Istanbul-raised, Rutgers-educated provocateur has no plans to back down. People like this photo, by the way. Do you guys think this photo is cool? I was a little worried about how it was going to look. What's up with all these fanfic-style interviews with you? What are the chances of this interaction happening perfectly with this interaction? This interview is going to end with, and everyone clapped. I know it sounds unbelievable, but if you talk to enough people all the fucking time, you get a better feel for what their worldview looks like. I love that you think this person faked that interaction, by the way. Like, they have no allegiance with me. Why would they do that? You only get this level of cynicism if you straight up have been brain broken, I think, by, I mean, it speaks to the kismet of it all. It speaks to like the coincidence of it all, but it also speaks to how much you maybe pay attention to a lot of the anti-Hassan content out there, maybe, because like it's just strange for you to assume that that would be unique. Like, I have moments like that on stream all the fucking time. The last 2 years I've been called anti-Semitic. I abhor anti-Semitism, and I've spent my entire professional media career combating it. I just happen to be anti-Israel, and that makes me a far greater threat than the likes of Nick Fuentes because they know he's a Nazi, he says, referring to yet another polarizing figure in the ongoing schism within the far right. By the way, this is before the Nick Fuentes stuff popped off on the right wing as well. So even that in and of itself is actually an interesting predicament. Even that situation was another pre-watch Piker moment, because we were talking about this stuff before the schism became apparent. Okay, this is an interview I did that I was late to, that I talked to you guys about, if you recall, because I fell asleep and I almost missed it, before the New Yorker. I don't find kinship with the right because I think there are some on the right that just use Israel as a new opportunity to cut through the noise. His voice, famous from 2,674 live streams or 18,624 hours in front of a camera since he started on Twitch in 2018, is steady and evokes the East Coast liberal arts poli-sci education he received. Maybe they see kinship with me, but I've been here for decades, he says, because this is a problem that predates October 7. That's why a lot of people in the know shortly after October 7, myself included, were like, this is horrifying. But the reason as to why this is happening is because of 75 years of apartheid at that point, the genocide that was the inception of the Israeli nation state. And most people were just so oblivious to that reality. They were like, how dare you say something so barbaric? How dare you say something instead of just sitting there silently in mourning? But there has never been a moment in my life where I ever considered Israel to be anything but a criminal enterprise. This is in fucking print, dude. This is Variety magazine. The world is changing. I need you to understand something. The world is changing so much. This is a Variety profile that isn't antagonistic on someone like myself, covering not only my worldview, my politics, but also straight up putting in print anti-Zionist statements. Hanging with Hassan Piker plays out a bit like one of his marathon streams on Twitch, a hybrid of live television and social media that allows creators to interact with his fans via chat. The hours float by as he flits from one topic to the next, a mix of politics and pop culture. He's discussed about Hollywood's treatment of pro-Palestinian voices who have lost most career opportunities, such as Scream actress Melissa Barrera, whose firing from the franchise happened, he says, at the peak of the panic. Some have been dropped by their agencies, including Susan Sarandon, love her, by UTA, or their labels like Roger Waters, he's awesome, over their Israel critiques. More recently, British punk rap duo Bob Vylan was cut by UTA for leading chants of death to the IDF during a performance in Glastonbury Festival. I don't think that's necessarily going too far, Piker says, of Bob Vylan's actions. I think the moment that you start talking about Jewish control or the Talmud is when people go too far. As a Muslim who sees so much Islamophobia, I'm very tuned into that dog whistle, like the overemphasis on Sharia. The notion that Mamdani would impose Sharia law in New York was indicative of the tenure of the final stretch of the mayoral race. They do it to Jewish people as well in a similar vein. I think that's when people go too far. From Piker's perspective, Amy Schumer should have been canceled for social media posts she made in the wake of October 7. Amy was going crazy and no punishments there. She was just straight up being like, they're all rapists, barbaric monsters. They're head choppers. We got to deal with them. Piker appears to be referencing an illustration Schumer shared and then deleted on Instagram that depicted pro-Palestinian supporters holding signs with such slogans as Gazans rape Jewish girls only in self-defense and proud of our rapist martyrs. China, you can keep him. I like that. I can't tell if this is a hater or a lover saying this because, like, I love China. That's so funny. Despite calls for his cancellation for his criticism of Israel, Piker has withstood the heat. WME didn't drop me, which I think is very interesting, he says. He was told to tone it down, but he's vague about exactly who told him. He's getting a little too hot is what I heard, he says. Did he heed that warning? No, because I'm very stubborn, and if something is wrong, I'm going to call it out. And if I can't call it out, then I can't do my job. That's my job. That's what I do. So yes, I've gotten warnings, and I'm not oblivious. Journalist Taylor Lorenz, a friend of Piker's who has covered the subject of internet harassment for 15 years, says that he is unique in the breadth of his haters, from Vice President J.D. Vance to Democratic Representative Richie Torres. Hassan is a very particular strain of politics, which is leftism that is attacked by both mainstream centrist Democrats, bad faith left-wing actors, the right wing, and just internet trolls, Lorenz says. And he's on the most dramatic platform possible, Twitch, which has the most parasocial fan base of any platform. He gets the entire internet weaponized against him. He is the only straight man I've ever seen that has been gamer-gated. Earlier this year, that's such a funny line. That's true. I'm the first male victim of like actual successful objectification. I'm the first male victim of Gamergate. It's true though. It's literally so stupid. I mean, it still doesn't impact me in the same exact way that it would others, like in the same exact way that it would women in general. And that's because obviously we do still live in a patriarchal society, right? But that hasn't stopped people from trying, if you know what I mean. Earlier this year, Mamdani's mother, director Mira Nair, signed a petition calling for the Academy to rescind his invitation to Gal Gadot to appear at the Oscars for his support for Israel's military actions against Palestinians. Given that Gadot's comments throughout the conflict have centered on releasing the hostages, I asked Piker if such a campaign was fair. I think she should be banned from the Oscars for being a dogshit actress. I think she has no business being there for the crime of what she has done, not only to the DC franchise, but really any movie she's been a part of. So that was a joke, but I feel like it doesn't read like that when you read it out loud, right? Can you tell? Because she didn't say Hassan jokes. You know, Piker quibs. Piker jokes. I think she should be banned from the Oscars for being a dogshit actress. He says to the Wonder Woman star, all jokes aside, okay, well, I did follow with, all jokes aside, Gal Gadot serves an important role in normalizing Israel as not a fascist ethno-state, but instead a place where a lot of beautiful women come from. And those beautiful women happen to serve in the IDF, because there's also this weird sexualization of the forces as well that takes place, and it plays another role in normalizing Israel and its activities and actions and whitewashing it. Now that is also a somewhat unique perspective to hear in mainstream outlets as well. Not only did they actually put all of the anti-Zionist statements in there, this is something that I never in my life would have thought that Variety would actually ever feature a piece that just straight up said that Israel, like Israeli propaganda, weaponizes the hypersexualization of its own female forces in an effort to you know, propagandize and whitewash their war crimes. Bro, you cooked. You did the perfect AI make this more concise paragraph on that. By contrast, Piker appreciates the work of Natalie Portman, who is Israeli but has never served in the IDF like Gadot. If Gal Gadot could act like Natalie Portman, there are probably less people yelling at her. Natalie Portman has made statements about Israel that are middle of the road, but ultimately nobody holds that against her because she can act her freaking face off. All the back when she was like a teenager. Oh my God, Leon the Professional. Gadot may have ruined the DC franchise for Piker, but James Gunn is redeeming it. When Superman opened on July 11th, Piker made viral the idea that the fictional nation of Baravia is a stand-in for Israel. In the film, Baravia, backed by U.S.-made weaponry, drops bombs on and oppresses his desert neighbor, prompting Superman to intercede. Gunn has since denied that the plotline has anything to do with the Middle East. James Gunn is a lot more woke than he lets on, and he lets on how woke he is all the time, Piker says, still certain of the director and DC chief's intention all these months later. Come on, man. You made the Baravian leader look like David Ben-Gurion. He just straight up looks one-to-one like the first prime minister of Israel. We don't even care about what you say about this. We know exactly what we're looking at. To take the allegory a step further, Palantir, BlackRock, and Raytheon are Luthor Corp. Lex Luthor is cutting a direct contract with Baravia to extract natural resources and then also having a testing ground for their weapons, Piker says. I mean, that's literally what we do. Gaza is a weapons laboratory. That's how imperialism works. Apropos of something, Piker then gives a thumbs up to the actor who's suited up as the latest Man of Steel. David Cornswet, from what I understand, is Jewish and he's very cool. He's not like pro-Israel or anything like that, as far as I've seen, he notes. With that, Piker is ready to move on to cross Burbank superhero rival Marvel, but there's little for him to mind on that front. I've always been a Marvel fan growing up, but I can't stand the Marvel Cinematic Universe, he says. Piker's intensity is palpable as he chases double espresso with a 6 milligrams in pouch. All that's missing is the scroll of chat comments accompanying his musings. Instead of swooning fans enter the real life frame to express their gratitude, a woman dining with her son approaches our table. No, it's impossible. He lives in LA, she says, beaming. And then I kept looking and looking, and it's him. I absolutely love your work. Being a Twitch streamer is a lot of that, he says, of his exchange with the server. I have my ear to the ground all the time. A lot of people in legacy media, traditional journalists, are so out of step with the average person around them, even in their immediate vicinity. Still, Piker allows the rich and powerful to occupy plenty space in his head. Barry Weiss, recently installed editor-in-chief of the CBS News, gets a bashing. Barry Weiss is everything that I despise about access journalism, brown-nosing to institutionally powerful people, and a major advocate for Israel as well. A person that has spent her entire career decrying woke or identity politics while simultaneously using her identity as a shield, she says. Like, I'm a lesbian woman, I can't be intolerant. And also, even using your identity as a Jewish woman to say, identity politics sucks, unless we're talking about Jewish people. Piker scoffs at the idea that CBS News was biased before Barry Weiss arrived. There's not enough pro-Israel voices in major news? Come on, that's ridiculous, he says. Yet she's been rewarded handsomely for it. $150 million for a shitty Substack that no one cares about or knows about. It's very obvious why that happened. The Redstones, the seller, and the Ellisons, the buyer, wanted to make CBS more pro-Israel. Shari Redstone was willing to hand off CBS to the Ellisons because she thought they would do a better job of making it pro-Israel. When Paramount deal was announced in August, Redstone said Ellison has a clear strategic vision and the resources to take the studio to its next stage of growth. This part almost comes across as conspiratorial, especially because it doesn't actually feature the evidence that I centered this around. I've obviously covered this issue quite a bit on my broadcast, so you guys know about it. And I did actually bring it up in the interview as well. I literally showed her the article of Shari Redstone being like, I am finally selling the 60 Minutes after the 60 Minutes saga, right? Since the deal closed, the studio has made a series of moves that bolster Piker's contention that Paramount. Barry Weiss was being packaged as someone who could bring top talent. Wow, Piker says. Benjamin Netanyahu never gives interviews anymore to American news. He talks to American news more than he does to Israeli news. Damn, I cooked. Perhaps it's Piker's complete lack of filter that makes him so attractive to his growing fan base. Most influencers with a red-hot career are careful not to bite the Hollywood hand that could feed them. As a result, these aspiring stars tend to punch down. Piker's willing to punch way up, all the way up to Larry Ellison, the second richest person on the planet, who backed his son David's successful bid to buy Paramount and also has a stake in TikTok. Piker's trying to explain the craven flip of the once liberal tech titan to the Republican side. When Larry Ellison first made that big donation to Marco Rubio for his presidential run in 2016, people were actually a bit confused. I think he's gay, maybe in the closet. I don't know. I hope he doesn't laser me down for speculating, he says with a laugh about the Oracle co-founder. Larry Ellison has been married to 6 women and is currently wed to Jolyn Zhu. But there are hacked emails that show Larry Ellison vetted Marco Rubio for fealty to Israel. And as Secretary of State, Rubio played a role in the TikTok talks that steered the company towards Ellison. Piker doesn't seem too concerned about the prospect of getting lasered down by any vengeful oligarch. I'm also not a stranger to super powerful social media platform owning billionaires directly hating me and making it a personal vendetta and their lives' mission to destroy me somehow, he says. In the wake of the Kirk assassination, Elon Musk took to his X to call for Piker's cancellation, dredging up past comments that walked up to the line. Musk even tagged Amazon founder Jeff Bezos. Amazon owns Twitch. Piker knows the irony that he's not even banned on X, never mind Twitch, because he's a power user and drives engagement. A lot of these guys are very thin-skinned, and I think the gravest mistake of my career was when I had Musk's ex-partner Grimes on my show, and she talked about how buff I was, and then I talked about how Tesla was shit, Piker says. That man has never lived it down. Grimes wasn't exaggerating. Piker is hard to miss with his muscular 6'4" frame. He works out 1 to 2 hours a day, a regimen that includes playing basketball. If he ingratiated himself better with the oligarchs, he would be courted by mainstream Hollywood. He's already heard the siren call and turned it down. His manager, former WME agent David Hunsinger, fielded a $1 million offer from one popular betting platform to run a ticker ad during just one stream on election night 2024. Piker said no. I'm not the easiest client, and not even because I get into trouble, Piker explains. I say no all the time to a lot of deals, like a lot of money, and that's why I really respect David, because throughout our entire professional relationship, he's probably said no to tens of millions of dollars. Starting number was $1 million, which means they could have probably gone up. He's happier helping the Mamdanis of the Democratic Party and sticking a thorn in the side of the Cuomo types. He brought up my name next to Hamas, he said during a debate with Mamdani. Why don't you denounce Hamas? Why don't you denounce Hassan Piker? Piker says the former Democratic governor turned independent mayoral candidate. I'm very similar to Zoran in many respects, and the same reasons why they would be resentful of Zoran or fearful of Zoran is the same reason why they despise me. With the election just 10 days away, Piker is keeping a low profile with the Mamdani campaign. I'm in a holding pattern right now, he says, with a hint of sadness creeping into his voice. I don't want to be too prominent in and around the Zoran stuff at the moment because I don't want him to use it as a line of attack over and over again. What the Cuomo campaign used was a soundbite of Piker, which, by the way, after I said this, they pumped it. This is before they did the extra attack ads, if you remember. Like, this was before the sequence, the wave of like Hassan Piker did 9/11 and Zoran Mamdani loves 9/11 ads. I just assumed that they would do it. What the Cuomo campaign used was a soundbite of Piker saying America deserved 9/11 during a 2019 stream. I was talking about blowback, a theory that has academic consensus at this point, that our meddling in the affairs of the Middle East has led to the blowback of 9/11, he explains. This wasn't to say 9/11 is good. It's a horrifying act of terror where 3,000 New Yorkers were slaughtered, and even many more with the first responders that tried to save as many people as possible. Yet it was, of course, weaponized against me. But as election night swung Mamdani's way, Piker wasn't keeping a low profile, but toasting with the millennial mayor-elect with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez of the Brooklyn Paramount Victory Party. There he offered no mercy for Cuomo. What happened? I thought the Hassan Loves 9/11 was a successful campaign strategy, he said in a video that ran on his YouTube channel. Andrew Cuomo, fuck you, suck my dick. Before the Mamdani win becomes reality, however, Piker can only hope the polls are accurate, but he's feeling confident as we walk along a busy stretch of 10th Avenue. An older man wearing a bandana and hoop earrings stops in his tracks and claps as he recognizes Piker. It's a sign that the streamer's message about Mamdani and or Israel is resonating. Then it hits me that Piker has no security detail as he mingles with the masses. Post-Kirk, that seems unwise. I make it a point not to have bodyguards when I'm around the people, he says. I think it was Fidel Castro or Che Guevara who said, I have a moral vest. It was Castro. It was Castro. No one cares. You seem like you care. Getting mad enough to comment on an article that no one cares. Interesting. Extremely well-written profile. Regardless of what the oligarchs desire, there's a reason why Parker has resonated with so many people. As one of my favorite pieces, I think that's one of my favorite profiles of all time, straight up. It was a banger. That ending was so hard, bro. Literally made me tear a bit. Was this a standard 20K? Goodbye. Chad, but man, I would not be worried. I would not be worried if you were in Europe or Asia, but your country is so crazy with their guns. No, I know. And yeah, the article actually was posted on the article was actually posted on their, or this quote was posted on their social media, and it went LeBron numbers, dude. 71,000 likes. Hey, Open Presents, thank you for the gifties. The Piker Broadcasting Service, once again, is sponsored by you, the viewers, for you, the viewers. As you know, you too can subscribe to the Piker Broadcasting Service for free with a Twitch Prime or with a $6 subscription. Or you can get gifted a sub if you're lucky. What is this? There was a crack.com article about me. The left's Joe Rogan is now a comedy podcast regular. Hassan Piker is not as popular as Joe Rogan. God damn. Fucking end me.
Siempre está protegido. Voy a desembarcar así en Nueva York. I will land in New York like this. Tengo un chaleco. I will land in New York like this. Tengo un chaleco moral. I have a moral one. A moral vest. Es fuerte. It's strong. Ese me ha protegido siempre. That one has protected me always.
Es uno de los más intentados matar, la verdad. Pero parece que tiene 7 vidas como el gato.
Hate to be a Bellskill, and I love the moral vest quote, but I gotta remind you, to thousands of lunatics is a moral bullseye. It is what it is. This was actually Che Guevara who said this moments before his assassination, but I am but a man. Okay? What are you gonna do? You can't live life like that. The moral vest was Fidel Castro. Okay, we're back. This happened yesterday too, remember? It happened one time and then not again, never again. So it happens. Did the writer know of you before the profile? Feels like they didn't really, which is nice for these types of profiles. Really well done. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure they did a lot of research ahead of time, right? No one writes a profile that long without doing adequate research, especially for a magazine like Variety. Wait, I'm confused. Why does this tweet have 71,000 likes, but this tweet? Oh, never mind. It just updated to 72,000 likes. I thought it was like two separate tweets. Hey, you should use the rest of your 35% discounts, coins in China. For gifted subs now. Yo, Variety. Since when are you platform scumbags like Hassan Piker? I've been reading Variety my whole career and never, not once, have I seen a Hollywood trade give this much shine to an anti-Jewish, anti-Semitic troll who makes a living insulting people in show business, especially women? What happened to you? Where'd your standards go? When did you become the hype machine for hate click bottom feeders in Hassan? You're a fake tough guy with a webcam and Wi-Fi, a professional bully with a ring light. Variety, do better. Stop giving megaphones to people who spit on the very industry you cover. I had a dream that all the wokes were being prosecuted and you were in hiding. Yeah, Michael Rappaport, by the way, a famous defender of women, Michael Rappaport. It's pretty funny that he just basically described himself. A fake tough guy with a webcam and Wi-Fi is unironically the perfect way to describe Michael fucking Rappaport. A professional bully with a ring light. Once again, also perfectly descriptive of Michael fucking Rappaport. Bray's gonna get so jealous. Entertainment Weekly picked up your comment. Political commentator Hassan Piker slams Gal Gadot. Calls her a dog shit actress. Yeah, I mean, it's confusing to me because, like, do people not know this? Like, do people... Are people oblivious to, like, how much people actually rip on Gal Gadot's acting? Like, even outside of, like, the IDF stuff.
Max Lord, you're putting yourself and everyone in grave danger. I need you to give me the stone. And enough champagne to fill the Nile. Mirror, mirror, magic mirror, who is the fairest of them all? It is our sacred duty, and I'm going to help them. Kyle, no! Max Lord, you're putting yourself and everyone in grave danger. I need you to give me the stone.
I think one of the funniest parts about this, and it's yet another testament to how bad Gal Gadot's acting is the fact that the actual compilation of her saying those lines is unwatchable, whereas someone actually redoing the lines in a humorous way is perfectly watchable. Okay? How is that possible? What is this? That's funny. Whatever happened to the Aussie boys coming to China? They got busy, I assume. Yeah, I've been telling Alexa to fucking pull up no matter what. Bro, I was on audio only. I thought this was her. Okay, well, that's crazy, but all right. Let's get back to the Epstein stuff, and then we're going to move on to other things as well. But yeah, this was the pre-watch Piker one was crazy mode. Visual calculus, elevated position, telescopic sight, high caliber, anyone could do it. Logic, he had a lot of enemies, and his enemies are all armed. Most likely a groiper. Savoir-faire, Israel did it. Inside job, for sure. Disco Elysium. Hassan visited that restaurant before and knew the waiter's dialogue tree already. Say whatever you like. The guy has incredible instincts. This is really funny just for the interaction where the waiter gives him a free coffee and says, I just like your vibe. And that's because right before Hassan asked the waiter who he thinks killed Charlie Kirk. Imagine being that guy reading this article and finding out you comped the drink for a guy who told one of the biggest publications in the country that the conspiracy theory you believe in is dumb as fuck. Yeah, but I thought about that. I consider that as well, but it's not like they're fucking literally profiling the person or outing them. You know what I mean? They don't actually say what the restaurant is. So it's, you know, there's no harm, no foul in general. You should try some Chinese nicotine pouches. Do they have them? Anyway, that waiter's on Canary mission now. Thanks to you, you sick fuck. He was just asking questions. Yeah, that's my bad. Well, I'm on Canary mission too, waiter. Welcome to the good side, I guess. Oliver is cooking some fire emotes. King, it's on its way. What is this? Oh, hell yeah. CNN's Isaac Dover is not mad. A week after appearing at the center of much media attention, the Mamdani's Victor Hassan Piker gets an unchallenged and promoted write-up in Variety, writing off Israel's an ethno-fascist state and saying Gal Gadot is part of a sexualization ploy by the Israeli army. Yeah, no, you're right, Edward Isaac Dover. The Israeli army definitely doesn't have IDF babe accounts. Like, maybe it's not directly the Israeli army doing it, but you know, really, we're not gonna act like that's a marketing initiative that whitewashes what Israel does. Zero likes, no motion. It doesn't matter. It's Edward Isaac Dover. He is a CNN anchor, or not an anchor. Sorry, he's a CNN reporter who hates the Bernie bro wing and all those guys. It's like he's one of my ops in the media. He just posted it a minute ago. Also, I didn't bring up Gal Gadot. The journalist did. What is the expectation? I just hold it in? I'm not. That's kind of my whole brand, don't you think? That's just what I do. I do not hold it in. Yeah, they definitely put attractive soldiers on every birthright trip, including mine, for no reason. Exactly.
And that is bad news politically for Donald John Trump.
All right, thank you so much, Air Harry Enton. And now joining us is John Berman, hopefully.
Thank you, thank you
There
very
he is,
much.
he's over there.
I am so pleased to be with you today, Sarah
So good to
Seidner.
have you
Thank
here,
you
John.
very much. With us now also is senior politics reporter for Axios, Mark Caputo. Mark, I've been reading you for years, but overnight, your story on what's been happening in the White House really over the last 24 hours. Plus, not every story is a process story, but boy, the process here is fascinating because of how the White House is handling this. Why are they doing what they're doing?
Oh, I wonder why.
We can only speculate. And the speculation that circulates in Trump's orbit, whether it's some people around the White House, longtime advisors, confidants, is that Trump's name in some way, form, or fashion is in the Epstein files. And that really bothers him because he knows that if you have Trump and Epstein in a file, it's going to be a headline and it's going to dominate news coverage, social media discussion, be all over television. Just consider what's happened here. There wasn't a smoking gun in this tranche of emails that was released, yet it's just totally dominated everything. So imagine if there's an investigative file, a criminal investigative file or files, where Trump's name is mentioned in some form or fashion. Again, I don't know what that form or fashion is. It would be what we're seeing now, just on steroids.
And what exactly have they been doing? There's the stuff that CNN has reported on. We know about a Situation Room meeting with Lauren Boebert. But what else is happening behind the scenes?
Well, from what we understand, they've made a number of calls, including the president had played phone tag at one point with Nancy Mace, the South Carolina representative. And he doesn't want this, I'm sorry to use the phrase discharge petition, most people don't know what it is, but he doesn't want this measure backed by Republicans to go to the floor. But it increasingly looks like that's going to fail and there is going to be a full vote on it. Ultimately, Trump had decided in July that despite his campaign trail promise, despite the comments of his advisors, now J.D. Vance, or better said, now Vice President J.D. Vance, Pam Bondi, now the Attorney General, Kash Patel, now the FBI Director, on the campaign trail, they were saying, oh, the Epstein files are going to be released. July rolls around in 2025. Trump says, nope.
Do they expect him to send an email saying, I, Donald John Trump, committed several counts of child sexual assault? Yeah, that's not, honestly, maybe. Like, if you were to ask me that question a while ago, I would have been like, haha, that's funny joke chatter. But it seems like these guys were very forthcoming in these emails. Like, they literally, like, every financial elite that emailed Jeffrey Epstein at a certain point was like, hey, really loved the party last night, wink, wink. Sometimes even more aggressive, like, hey, I love trafficking children with you, right? It's the funnest thing we can do. I love doing it. Like, yeah. Every Epstein email is like, yes, I love girls. Everyone knows it. Happy birthday. MAGA, those emails could be anything. The emails in question, Jeffrey Epstein to Peter Thiel. That was fun. See you in 3 weeks. Dude, you promised me a blow up in MAGA, and today I've been told by multiple people that because the Democrats didn't release it, they actually took the time to alter the documents to print to Trump, so nothing can be trusted that comes out. That's the level of cope they're hitting. Nothing is going to change the MAGA views base besides the video of DJT sexually assaulting a child, and even then they're going to blame it on AI. No. If that were to come out, they wouldn't blame AI. They would just say it's actually cool and good that he did it, and they love doing it too. Like, there are going to be MAGA-based loyalists who will unironically ride no matter what, okay? They will dick ride no matter what is going on. They would probably blame the child and do like a what was she wearing thing, or they would just turn around and be like, who amongst us hasn't been in this situation, right? I mean, Laura Ingraham already did it. We covered it earlier. Laura Ingraham straight up turned around and did the thing. She was like, well, actually, it's a phobophilia. I mean, some 15-year-olds and 14-year-olds are attractive. And it's like, why didn't the Democrats actually release this stuff when fucking Joe Biden was president if they were actually massaging the information, okay? That's the question. The counter to that always from your friends and hog coworkers that are saying like, oh, well, Democrats obviously weaponize it. I was like, okay, dude, why didn't they? Oh, I mixed up Laura Ingraham and Megyn Kelly. Sorry, it wasn't Laura Ingraham. It was Megyn Kelly who said that. My apologies. I'm sure Laura Ingraham will end up saying it tonight. So, you know, maybe that'll be another pre-watch Piker moment. But yes, it was Megyn Kelly who said actually it's a Phoebophilia, not Laura Ingraham. But when your coworkers turn around and say like, oh, well, the Democrats actually massage this information, like, or they manipulate this information. It's all fake news. It's all fake news. It's a line of attack against Trump. Ask them this question. Why the fuck did they not release this manipulated information, this trove of data before the fucking election then, dumbass? Because that's such a stupid line of argumentation. It's such a stupid way to fucking argue against this position that, like, basically the counter is we'll put him on the back foot. Like, they'll be like, okay, that does really not make sense. Also, because Bill and Hillary Clinton have decades of known association with Epstein and Maxwell and are still viewed as assets to the Democratic Party. Yeah. None of these people in these emails lovingly chatting with Epstein will face social consequences. And we know this because in 2019, it was revealed Bill Gates met with Epstein several times and his wife of 30 plus years divorced him over it. And this basically went into a memory hole. Will there ever be a smoking gun? Chatter. The smoking gun analogy only works if someone is able to be harmed by bullets. Okay? If the current state of discourse with our maximalist political polarization, with misinformation running amok, with people having a true crisis of critical thinking and media literacy, has rendered the political information landscape to be uninhabitable for normal brain people, then there is no smoking gun. It's the same principle behind Pete Hegseth, right? It's the same principle behind why normally a candidate like Pete Hegseth would never be able to get the highest security clearance, because when they are interviewing people for top security clearances, right, where you are like handling classified information and whatnot, they actually make sure that you are not blackmailable, okay? So they look at like whether you have, you know, an alcoholism issue or a gambling issue. Brett Kavanaugh had a gambling issue, and that didn't actually stop people from, that did not actually harm him in the long run. He still became a fucking Supreme Court justice. But the reason why they look at that sort of stuff is because if you are an alcoholic, if you have gambling debt, like things of that nature, you are malleable, you are persuadable, you are blackmailable. But you are unblackmailable if you have no shame. We are coming to realize that this entire structure is basically held together by a collective understanding of morality that is falling apart. And while it was often the Republicans that said there is such a thing as objective morality, and you guys are all post what is it? What's the fucking? Oh my god, my brain is fried. It was Jordan Peterson and many Republicans that said that it was the Dems that were postmodernist or neo-Marxist or you know, engaged in cultural relativism, and that there was such a thing as objective morality. It's very obvious that it's actually the Republicans that are doing the same postmodernist analysis here, and they find ways around it. Basically, they just, it doesn't matter anymore. There is no such thing as like social stigma associated with certain things that used to exist, including but not limited to pedophilia, it seems. Do you understand? I think it's very damaging that we do not have consensus reality. I say this all the time. It's one of the worst aspects of modernity, especially in this like internet media environment. Having no consensus reality is fucking terrifying. Even in like small, nonsensical, idiotic ways that obviously I encounter, right? That I experience in my day-to-day existence. Like, the example I will use is this tweet that I saw that went somewhat viral 11 hours ago. Little bro went to China thinking he would be received as a celebrity, got treated as just another foreigner, got arrested, learned that nobody knows him, and now learns that Asman is popular there. Lamafayal Hassan should be elected lolcow of the year. It's just like it's a joke that I made on Will's stream that immediately got posted here, where I was like, no one should know who Asmongold is, as a joke, right? let alone motherfuckers in China. And every part about this, every part about this statement is just objectively incorrect. The preconceived notions around China are so insane that half this site genuinely believes you were arrested for some reason. Yeah, you literally got clapped by the CCP the moment you stepped an inch out of line. You shook it off like nothing ever happened and continued your propaganda tour. If you weren't a Western tourist streamer, you would likely be in jail by now. Like nothing, the truth does not matter. Observable reality does not matter. What matters is whatever the official narrative is. Okay? I said, I love how none of this has happened, but motherfuckers on this website just live in an alternative reality that fries them off of negatively framed clips they saw. We are never getting healthcare, man, is what I said. But I do think that it's not great that we don't have a shared consensus reality. Because how are you supposed to interact with one another? How are you supposed to interact with other humans, your neighbors, your fellow man, if they're just living in a fucking totally different plane of existence? Doesn't that terrify you? I mean, this is just bad. Not because like it is annoying for me. That doesn't really matter, right? In the long run. But I'm saying that this is just yet another clear-cut example of how people go, I'm biased towards, you know, what I believe is happening in China. And I saw this tweet that claimed falsely that this guy got arrested, right? So that corresponds to my biases, right? LARPer socialist Westerner gets arrested when faced with real communism is like a very good narrative for you to lean into if you already have these preconceived biases. That person is a kick streamer just trying to get clout off your name. It doesn't matter. They keep conflating the meme somehow triggered the cops. I think this has larger societal consequences, not related to like myself. I'm just using this as a example. Okay? I'm just using this as an example of what is so dangerous about the way that things are changing. Yeah, okay. I don't think Hassan has ever stepped foot outside of major cities in China. The difference between poverty is staggering. Nobody's equal, very unequal. Hassan talks about China and what he loves about it so far is sick. Abundant style consumption paired up with centrally controlled economy. You have 1950s Soviet era building blocks next to Gucci store. If ever a country that rep the things I enjoyed. Yeah, I said China is the OG. Like China is the OG communist flag in front of the Gucci store, right? Dog, you've been there for 5 days? I know. And there have been 5 days of people losing their fucking minds over this, right? Yeah, this is the breast milk guy from Blizzard. You like capitalism then? Hyperthyroidism? You weren't even arrested. You were just interrogated. Western communists versus real communists. Gucci, but also communists. You like capitalism then? I think it's a misunderstanding. I think this is a misunderstanding. Okay? The notion that people are producing commodities is not simply a capitalist concept. Like there is no, like it's the relations that people have to the means of production that makes a society socialist or capitalist. And the reality of the matter is China is not a communist state, okay? It's not. They are moving in the direction of communism, as every single previous communist party has tried to design society through a transitional socialist state. And every single version of this has been different. There is no one size fits all, right? Chinese netizens are supporting you because we're so used to getting smeared, lol. One netizen's message I saw said he really shouldn't bother explaining what happened to his haters. A person who wronged you knows best how you were wronged. Chinese netizens love doing poetry. Michael Malice said he wants to stand on you whole. You're in the ground. What? I don't know what that means. Among other wild things, it was crazy to hear. Are they moving towards communism or are they just doing their own thing? I mean, I can't speak to the ideological ambitions, okay? I can simply reflect on the reality of development. The reality of development and the reality of improvement of material conditions adjusted to the starting point, okay? The same goes for all socialist formations of society, whether they inevitably failed or ultimately failed, sorry, not inevitably, or whether they are at a different stage in their transition. This is not an easy endeavor. It never has been. And it's exceptionally difficult, especially when you're coming from an agrarian society, as is the case with many of the successful socialist revolutions that have been implemented throughout history. While you're in the ground, as in on Stand on Your Grave on After Party Podcast today, I don't know who that is, but I mean, I wish him well. I don't know what to say. Some of the most famous communist writers were wealthy. Only the wealthy could afford to read and write. It doesn't mean that they wanted a different society. Yeah, the wealth of the person, the wealth of the individual doesn't fucking matter. It's like a stupid ass argument. It's just one that is, ever present. It's one that, it's one that really people constantly lean into because they don't want to address the argument at all. When someone says, regardless of their financial background or financial status, when someone says, hey, we should improve society somewhat, there is this immediate cynicism, this immediate pessimism that people have. And I think that is a byproduct of the capitalist dogma. Yeah, you had it right with inevitably. Yeah, okay, well, I'm watching the inevitability not play itself out here in China. So what do you have to say to that? I know what you have to say to that. When you hate China, you say it's communist. When you are forced to reckon with the Chinese development and what that means for the new multipolarity, you say it's actually capitalist. That's what it is. But the real question for me, from me to you, is where is your capital? Do you own any? Do you benefit from this system? Or have you been told that you benefit tremendously from this system and the alternatives are actually really dangerous and really scary for you, just like China is really dangerous and really scary, is what you've been taught your whole life. And when you actually end up encountering, or when you actually end up seeing what it looks like on the ground because of people like I Show Speed or even myself, like streaming from here, it's not like this is North Korea, in terms of how shut off it is from the rest of the world. We move towards what is best for our people depending on the time and circumstance. Our greatest strength is flexibility and the ability to adapt. There is no end goal for a civilization that has survived 5,000 years and will survive for another 5,000 more. Okay, stop. I know. This is the one aspect of socialism with Chinese characteristics, the Chinese characteristics aspect that I don't necessarily I don't have any consideration for. Okay, it is also somewhat of a reactionary statement to make. It's definitely a counter-revolutionary statement to make, by my assessment. Yeah, not very materialist of you. We're not doing any dialectical materialism in that regard. I mean, it's cool and it's true, and I think it plays a role in why people feel so proud, and I understand that. But ultimately, I care not for things such as this, aside from the fact that they are important in galvanizing the working class, important in getting people organized. Same with nation state boundaries and what they represent. But ultimately, that's not the point. And that's not something I care about. What I do care about is improving people's lives, making sure that someone who previously was relegated to peasant class, like relegated to the peasantry on the countryside, that did not get educated, that did not have, working water wells, that did not have roads going to their villages, is now able to travel freely and educate themselves, learn about the world, do something meaningful, live a better life in general. That's what I care about. I want that for everyone. Okay? You're a way better propagandist than Victor Gao. Gao's way too into Chinese nationalism because I don't have any care for, I'm not a patriotic person. Like, I'm not. I understand the importance of patriotism in terms of like organizing a working class in certain aspects, in certain respects. But ultimately, I just care about making sure that everyone lives the best life that they can live. Okay? At its root, this is why I am a socialist. Okay? That's it. I want people to live free and prosper. I want people to be able to unlock their potential. I want people to live comfortably. We have the opportunity for all to live comfortably. That is the reality. We are our technological improvements have created a universe where people could, at this point, evolve away from the capitalist mode of production. And that's for everyone. That's for the good and the bad. Which is why it was funny because, like, Ben Shapiro's talking about Simon Piker from Tiananmen Square said he has no American patriotism in his heart. No, I was talking about patriotism in general. Like, I don't feel patriotic. I've never felt patriotic. It's not a thing. I don't have any patriotism for Turkey. I don't have any patriotism for the United States of America. And it was more so a commentary on how unique of an experience that I actually watched as someone who is not necessarily a very patriotic person. Ben has been talking about you a lot recently. Did he decline a debate with you? Yeah, I think we're setting up a different one. So it might still end up happening. Actually, I should probably cook him. Don't give him the time of day he's washed. I'm going to say I'm not a patriotic person in general. You are patriotic for Israel, first and foremost. Easily deflected with dual loyalty. Dual loyalty is an anti-Semitic trope if you assume every Jewish person is actually patriotic towards Israel. There's a reason why it doesn't work for someone like fucking Miriam Adelson or Ben Shapiro. If you see a random Jewish person and you just automatically assume they care about Israel, then yeah, that is anti-Semitic. That's not the case. But if a Jewish person is literally saying, like, I care about Israel the most, it's the most important thing, what the fuck, and you should too, and you should shut the fuck up, American, if you care, if you dare defy Israel, then yeah, no, you have already laid your fucking, you've already laid it out for everyone to see. What do you mean? I can call it out, you know? Picking up what you're putting down, Yasha? Yeah. When the ever-changing imperial consensus, Israel starts thinking that Israel is no longer the U.S. interest, then yeah, dual loyalty stuff is going to be front and center like you've never seen. It's not been a problem because the interests of U.S. and Israel have been seen by the consensus as the same thing. Exactly. And it was. It was for the longest time. It was. It literally, like, was it actually good for America to be attached to Israel? No, of course not. In the same way that, like, was it actually good for America to invade Iraq? No, of course not. But was it good for the American military-industrial complex? Yes. And the same principle stands for our, allegiance to Israel as well. It's not good for Americans. It's not good for America necessarily, but it's good for capital owners who are profiting, who stand to profit from this endeavor. Also, Sean McCarthy had a good response to this. Okay, but why are major cities in China nicer than the major cities in America? I thought this country was richer. The new Cope/Dodge, now that Americans are actually traveling to Shanghai and Beijing and seeing how much better things are there than New York City and DC, is that Americans need to travel to rural China. Well, things aren't particularly great in rural America. Let's compare like to like. Because they were built over the last 20 to 30 years by people paid very little while demolishing what existed before. America could also build nice skyscrapers festooned with LEDs if they had access to hundreds of millions of people willing to work for $100 a month. After World War II, America had the highest wages in the world, and we were still able to build all the then cutting-edge infrastructure that is still in use today. This is about different government policies. Exactly. There is, like, people say, oh, it was super cheap. It was super cheap to build. That's why China was able to build it. It's like, yeah, foreign capital actually goes a long way in China as opposed to in the United States of America. That much is true. Having said that, however, what matters is that people's lives have improved. What matters is the material conditions of the average Chinese person has rapidly improved over the course of even 10 years. As I was talking with Jake last night, Jake has been in China since 2014. He has seen the changes happen in a decade. He's seen the changes happen with his own two eyes. Now think about the past decade in America of not just stagnation, but I think like a recession. We are devolving, degradation, decline. And I think the worse it gets, and the more people recognize that things are getting worse, some people will look to alternatives with envy. Some people will look to alternatives and say, why can't we do that, or some version of that, some Americanized version of that here? I'm that person. This is my argument always, right? And some will just close their eyes, plug their ears, and cry foul. They'll turn around and say, no, you don't understand. The situation is not as it seems. The coping and the seething. And there will be more and more coping and seething towards China. And the counter narratives against China will change. 20 years ago, the counter narratives were, oh, These guys are just building fucking houses just to make it seem like they have development happening. Okay? And maybe even at a certain point, I might have believed the fucking the fake housing concepts, you know, because I was a young boy. I wasn't really thinking too much about it. I was not asking the question, why would they do that? Why wouldn't they just put people in the houses? Like, which is such a simple fucking question to ask, right? Like, why would they just like build houses? But the houses were fake. They were made with tofu dregs, you know, stuff like that. Are you going out today? Yes. What the fuck do they think America does? America first used chattel slavery, then moved into wage slavery, and still does wage slavery, and it wasn't enough to terrorize the people that they abuse. I'm not even mentioning the shit Americans do outside of America. Yeah, I know. But that's neither here nor there. The point is, every country has, good things in its past, decent ambitions, things that they've done to improve mankind, and also a whole deal of pain to get there. Okay, but what's really remarkable about it is like I've seen this in I've seen this being referenced about North Korea. There's this one account that I see that like always will make this same joke over and over again, where they'll be like, they had a pretty decent analysis on it. I can't figure out if I'm going to try to see if I can find it. But there was this one account that just like posts this thing where it's like Kim Jong-un, okay, fuck North Korea. Brother, first of all, when you say fuck North Korea, it's like, what has North Korea done to you? Okay? Like, I'm not saying shit is fucking sweet over there, right? I'm not saying that at all. But I just don't think that, like, they're building houses not to put people in it, you know? Like, it just doesn't make sense. But people rarely ever want nuanced thinking when it comes to this stuff, especially when it comes to adversaries. They want all the bad and none of the improvements. They just don't want to recognize it. Is Western ego and ethnocentrism? They think 1.4 billion Chinese will build fake things just for the Western eyes to see, that we would fake numbers to impress Westerners. Everything we do is solely for the Western man to judge. Yes, it is egocentric. And it's ethnocentric as well. For sure. They thought they were building houses not to put people in it because that's what we do here. Yeah, that's also true. We build houses for speculation. But in any case, that is what it is. Like, it is very Western centered, right? And it is adjusted to the material realities. It is adjusted to the material conditions. When they're actually experiencing widespread famine over there, right? They go, oh, this is why socialism is abject failure. When they start building houses and start improving their material conditions, they go, oh, they're building the houses so that we feel bad about it. So that we, like, they're doing this to flex on us. It's fake. It's not to just build houses so that fucking people can live in it, you know? And it's so stupid. It's the same with like China as well. Motherfucker, they're not doing shit so that the Western world can see it and go, oh my God. They're doing it because there's 1.4 billion fucking people here. They like the cool lights on the fucking the side of the goddamn skyscrapers like you do. Like, what are you talking about? It's just another fucking country. It's another whole ass country with people living in it. They're building housing, not so they can be like, see, we're flexing on you. They're not building high-speed rail to flex on us. They're doing it because they want more commerce to happen in this fucking giant country. And they want to make sure that every city and every locality is connected to one another. It's so stupid. Do the rural citizens of China get pissed about only city investment? No. It's the opposite. The more rural areas you go, the cities are where the libbed up Chinese live. Okay? The ones that actually send their sons and daughters to the Western world to go get a college education. The ones that actually are more critical of some of the more repressive attitudes or some of the more repressive aspects on the social liberalism side that, China doesn't have. It's the rural folks that fucking ride. We saw them. We saw them at the flag raising ceremony. Go talk to a young Chinese person from any of these fucking major cities, at least as I have. And this is anecdotes. Obviously, I can't speak for all people. China's a massive country. But most people around my age or younger have not been to the flag raising ceremony at Tiananmen Square. It's the people from rural places, the elderly population especially, that go there, that visit, that take a whole fucking 24-hour trip just to go there because they're like, holy shit, my life improved so dramatically. Thank fucking God for the party. That was at the heart of my analysis. That was why I was saying I'm not a particularly patriotic person, so this flag raising ceremony is strange by my own observations. It's not for me, right? It's not something that I would ever find myself doing, right? It's not something that I would ever find myself doing. However, like the places the places that people are coming from, it's a fascinating phenomena to observe in real time. Like, one must identify why they feel this way, how they feel this way. As correct as 2,000 Chinese, we don't really care about the flag raising and not that patriotic to the party, but have a collective pride of being Chinese. Yeah. So it's usually the rural areas that have actually that have seen tremendous improvement. Because, like, if you adjust the current conditions in the rural areas of China to the major cities, yes, it looks like a major disparity, right? It looks like a major disparity. And with your mindset, you think, oh, they are just keeping it this way somehow. It's sinister. That's not the case at all. The real disparity is the starting point versus where these places got to now, whether it be Shanghai, and I'm literally sitting in a living, breathing example of this, as I showed you in the 90s. This tower that I'm sitting inside of did not fucking exist. It was literally barren, okay? Behind me is, on the other side of the river, the western quarters, the colonial quarters, Bund, around the river bend. That's where foreign capital entered the Chinese markets. That's where the special economic zone was, and that's where one of the most developed cities in China existed, Shanghai, right? And for many, many years, the rest of China did not look like that. Now you have multiple Shanghai-style Tier 1 cities, right? That is a testament to the endless need to develop. And in terms of the rural areas, like, they have also dramatically improved. It was funny to realize that bund is a Hindi word because we have many buns in India everywhere too, lol. Yeah. When I was little, our family house is made of dirt. There was no road. It was just dirt and people step on it. Then I went to high school, and every weekend I came back, I was like, wait, why is there a little park over there? Then I went to college, and I went back every 5 months, and I said, wait, that building wasn't there. Then I work in Shanghai, and I came back one time a year. Now we have robot at hometown restaurant. I saw some dude in Twitter, he was on a post saying 90% of Chinese people own their own home. He asked Grok to confirm struggles with it about how is in ownership is at least, then ends by saying one word, interesting. Yes, I think is it 50-year leases or is it 100-year land leases by the government? But there is no, the government always, when the time comes, the government will, renew your lease. It's 100 years, right? Yeah. Or 99 years? Yeah. Like, technically, all land is still owned by the government, which is understandable. It's a socialist country. Meanwhile, we're at the precipice of 50-year mortgages, which is basically just renting to your fucking bank. Okay? And they don't have any property taxes in China. We pay property taxes. They don't. They just have a 99-year lease structure that gets renewed automatically, pretty much. So not only are we renting out the property that we think we own to the bank, but we're also still obviously giving money to the fucking federal government or the state government in the form of property taxes. Can transfer the lease? Yes, of course. It's a 70-year lease. You pay 160 yuan renewal fee at the end, at least in the province I grew up in. No one really even knows that because practically no leases have expired yet. Yeah. Look at Shenzhen, the past and the present. Shenzhen City, 39 years apart. 1984, this is what it looked like. 2023, this is what it looks like. You can't deny results. Okay, that's it. You can cope, you can seethe, you can get mad, you can say, why can't we have that here? I think it's more productive to look at that and say, why can't we have that here? What will it take? I wish we could. Minor thing about the special economic zones started in the Pearl River Delta in the southern China around Guangzhou, Shenzhen, and Xiamen. And a decade later, Shanghai was added. Your point is still correct, though. Is there any way in the U.S. looks like that? Yeah, everywhere in the U.S. looks like that. It's just in fucking reverse. Look at industrial towns and what it looks like now versus what it looks like what it looked like in the fucking 70s. And you will see the exact reversal of that image. Maybe not to that degree. Have you been to a fucking rural town? Go to a coal town. Go to Detroit. Go to Gary, Indiana. Gary, Indiana is a great example of this. Go to fucking Buffalo. Go to Pittsburgh. Go to any number of different American cities, what it used to look like versus what it looks like now. Even the ones where there are still a shit ton of people living in it and a real, you know, like people living in it, people still working, things of that nature. Like they have deteriorated in comparison to where they were 30, 40 years ago. Anyway, it doesn't mean that they're like, the thing is, I'll give you one last example of this before I move on back to the Epstein stuff. Okay. It's kind of like this. When I say socialized medicine is fantastic, just look at France. Nobody brings up the million different awful shit that France has done throughout its history or the ongoing versions of violence that exist in France. When I say we should have a socialized housing structure similar to Vienna, right? Red Vienna, nobody turns around and says, well, have you considered that, Austrian history is not so great? No one does that. But when you actually make a comparison in China in terms of development, everybody starts hitting like as many lines as they fucking possibly can. One must ask the question, why? Why is it? Is it because it's like extra violent and extra bad and far worse? Part of the reason why China can have Shenzhen and Shanghai is the fact that it's still developing. Most of these cities were built on foreign direct investment and industrialization. The U.S. did have that for years, but it let it go as it moved up the value chain. China needs to be careful to avoid the same things. I mean, yeah, this is true, but it seems like they're still heavily invested in being a producer nation. So we should hate all historical examples equally, you mean? No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is there are moments where the historical examples are relevant, okay? Yes, if we're talking about colonial extraction, then yeah, it is fucking relevant to bring that up, to bring that history up, okay? But if I'm talking about high-speed rail and you slam some other random shit in there, like, oh, cultural revolution, whatever the fuck, like, I'm just like, what do you mean? Like, what? This is not, it's like if I were to tell you, what's a beautiful part of America? The rich tapestry of American existence is that it is a phenomenally diverse country, okay? And you just turned around and immediately were like, whoa, hold on, George Washington was a slaver, Henry Kissinger, the nuking Japan twice, Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam War, Trail of Tears, genocide. It's like, okay, man, I just said America as it currently exists is a fucking... is a very diverse country, and I like that. Like, calm down. That's it. I don't have to like constantly bring all that shit up when I'm talking about America, right? Anyway, are you going to Macau? No. All right. By the way, later today, in a couple hours, almost in an hour and 30, we are going to be heading to a very famous Shanghai tailor. And I'm going to be getting like the traditional Chinese tailored jacket and suit. The same type of suit that many goats, including but not limited to Mao Zedong and Xi Jinping, have worn and continue to wear. Yeah. I'm becoming Lemon Bro watching you do shits in China. Yeah, that's why I was Lemon Bro, because I was envious. Oh, speaking of Lemon Bro, look at this. The Bilibili team gave me this. I'm gonna be handing these off to people that come up to me today. Not to encourage stream snipers, but they made Bilibili Lemon Bro keychains. Yeah. All right, let's continue with Jeffrey Epstein now.
And once that decision was made, it just sort of created this snowball effect, and Trump is living with it, or I guess maybe a better phrase is karma. This is political karma, the law of action and reaction. You promise you're going to do something, then you reverse yourself, and then it already becomes this massive political issue that just becomes very difficult to escape.
And what's the mood inside the White House over this, and how do, and you've done reporting on this, how do insiders feel about what would happen if they approached the president on different ways of managing this?
Oh, the people I've spoken to who talk to the president say, look, we don't talk about this with him because he's just going to get angry and lose his temper. And as a result, that's how you're seeing, or that's why you're seeing him act in this way. The White House is bothered by this release of emails from the Democrats because it was released in a strategic way, a political way, to coincide with the ending of the shutdown. Also, the sort of most, eyebrow-raising email, the one from Epstein to Ghislaine Maxwell, that the Democrats released, they purposely redacted the name of the victim. And from what we understand, that victim, Virginia Giuffre, was a person who was not a victim of Donald Trump. And in addition to that, had testified, had written, had spoken, had publicly said that Donald Trump didn't sexually assault her. She didn't know of Donald Trump sexually assaulting anyone, and that she had good relations with Donald Trump, friendly and legal, warm relations with him. And the fact that the Democrats had redacted that really, really bothers the White House, because the Democrats essentially sort of got one over on them, and they spent an entire day on defense. And this is a White House that likes to drive the narrative, not have the narrative driven against them. But obviously they were in a situation where they were just on that defensive crouch and on a back foot.
You know, it is interesting with the discharge petition, which does seem like it will go, and I use the words too, but this vote on the House floor, where the full House will vote on calling for the full release from the Justice Department of the so-called Epstein files. But that doesn't mean they'll be released, because then the Senate has to vote on it and the president would have to sign it into law there. So the president can stop this. The question is, why is he fighting so hard? Is it clear to you why he's fighting so hard, therefore, and why he's used so much capital and had Speaker Mike Johnson use so much capital to keep this vote from happening?
Well, this is how Donald Trump is. If he doesn't want something, he fights tooth and nail to make it not happen. And if he wants something, he does that as well to make it happen. Here he doesn't want it to happen, and he's just going to fight tooth and nail. And he doesn't matter how many sort of rakes he's going to step on in the process in doing it. He fights. Sometimes the way he fights hurts him. You saw, for instance, and I referenced in the piece in Axios today, in 2017, in the Russia investigation, if Donald Trump had sort of let FBI Director James Comey go and just, do some typical law enforcement work, it probably would have just blown over. But instead, Donald Trump fired James Comey, and that triggered the Russia investigation. Then there was COVID, and the way he handled COVID, he got a lot of criticism for it, and so he called that a hoax, and people didn't understand, well, what's he actually calling a hoax? The other day on Sunday, Donald Trump was asked about the affordability crisis on Fox News in a friendly interview, and he called the affordability crisis a con job. So Donald Trump sort of reacts very negatively to criticisms and issues that reflect badly on him, or that his critics say reflect badly on him. And he doesn't always react in a way that helps him. Sometimes he doubles down, or he gets so heavy-handed that it winds up making the story bigger and making the story more negative for him. And I think that's what you're seeing here. Had he gone along with his campaign trail promise,
I think it's really fucked up that no one is considering how Trump feels after losing his best friend. Okay? Do you know how difficult it is to lose your best friend? One that you had a shared interest, that one that you had the same hobbies with, that you would have unique shared experiences with. Who is he supposed to do that stuff with? J.D. Vance? And no, I'm not talking about Charlie Kirk. I'm talking about Jeffrey Epstein. There's people talking about Charlie Kirk in the chat. No, I'm talking about Jeffrey Epstein. Enigmas never age, Jeffrey. Who is he going to send birthday cards to now that Jeffrey's dead?
We have a...
Okay. Who? Shinzo came to my mind at first, not going to lie. Oh, yeah, he does love Shinzo. It's actually true. Every day is another beautiful secret. You and I, Jeffrey, every day we share together. He stopped doodling since then. Oh my God, you're right. Oh my God. Ever since he lost the light of his life, he has stopped doodling. Jeffrey was the guy who encouraged him to doodle more. And now he's gone. You think Trump and Epstein hooked up? Maybe. Jeffrey Epstein, power broker. Jeffrey Epstein, Dershowitz tells me Obama called him to ask him what's going on with Israel. We should discuss. Shut the fuck up. Dude, no, stop. Barack Obama, god damn it, dude. God damn it. This man literally fucking hung out with Rashid Khalidi. okay? And Edward Said. And Ali as well. Ali Abu Nima. I didn't even know that the third guy, the famous photo is literally Obama sitting at the table with Edward Said and Rashid Khalidi. Unbeknownst to even someone like myself, the third guy at that table was Ali Abu Nima. For those who don't know, yes, Electronic Intifada's very own Ali Abu Nima was at the table with Barack Obama. That guy asking advice from Alan Dershowitz on this shit is so ridiculous because he knows better. He knows better. Also, look at these cutie pies. They have become besties, which is really funny because like Farley around Will is an entirely different demon versus Farley outside of Will's sphere of scent and influence. He is very different. First, he like loses his mind, loses his shit, and then finally he gets depressed. And then I think he's actually reached a new stage now where he's like, okay, this is recognition. I have to live with this massive demon here. It's acceptance. He's decided she's my only friend now in this world. I like how you see Kaya's drool on the side of the car. Yeah, she's a drooly girl. Don't call Kaya a demon. Kaya is a demon. Kaya used to be a much bigger demon, though. She's like much chiller now. Farley thinks Will died to self-suck. True. All right. So, couple things. One, anarchist militants have waged terror campaigns in the United States and Europe, conspiring to undermine the foundations of Western civilization through their brutal attacks, which is, again, Nazi sentiment. The State Department will designate these four Antifa groups as foreign terror organizations. That's another thing that we're going to be talking about. Also, Trump is at 33% approval on immigration among Indies. That is an atrocious number for him. Okay? As I told you, as I said time and time again, as I repeated myself a million times over, sometimes you say, Hassan, why do you repeat yourself so much? It's like, yo, I repeat myself because it's a necessity, okay? Because unfortunately, these problems are unchanging. But I told you this in the lead up to the election. And I told you this in the aftermath of the election victory for Trump, that people were going to see the Republican legislation and experience the Republican legislation and realize maybe this wasn't a good idea. I need you to understand this. Okay? This has always been the fucking case. What is this? Make it stop. Asman shatters the dipshit meter. Oh my God. My goat is coming after Asmongold? No way. Anyway, let's get back to this. Sorry. What I was saying is, I was just looking at something here. What I was saying is, Republicans think they like Republican voters think they like Republican policy. But once they actually experience Republican policy, they fucking hate it. Okay? Okay, Republicans think they don't. You're right. My apologies. They don't think. But they assume that because they're heavily propagandized into believing this kind of nonsense, they assume that they will be better off if a Republican is in charge. They are told a lie that these policies, once implemented, will yield tremendous bounty for them. What they don't realize until after the fact is that those policies are actually very damaging for them. We saw this with the abortion situation, right? What is this? Oh my God, I can never leave my dog for 2 weeks. Low-key, I reacted quickly and unfollowed him after the weird AI meme of Kirk's wife, but I refollowed because he's a good dude overall. He's a good dude, yes. Kyle he's the GOAT. He's Mr. Dark Woke. That's why we do the Fell For It Again award, right? Ironically enough, there's an even sadder reason why Democrats don't have a Fell For It Again award. Do you want to know what that is? It's because Democrats, even when they're lying to you, don't overpromise. And that's part of the reason why they lose elections anyway. That's why there isn't a fucking Fell For It Again award. Because even those who vote for the Democrats kind of know that they're not going to deliver on any of the shit that they're voting for. And it's largely because the Democrats have that attitude that it's like, yeah, we're going to offer you nothing other than the fact that we're not going to directly send you to concentration camps. Democrats promise nothing and still somehow underdeliver. Republicans promise the world and do sometimes deliver. And when that delivery happens, everybody goes, oh my God, this delivery was a shit sandwich. I did not realize until after the fact And I know we sit around and we say, dude, you're so fucking stupid. Wait, this is, yeah. Got an Amazon package with nothing in it, Lamau. I didn't order anything. Yeah, this is the Democratic Party. This is what voting for the Democrats is like. I've been thinking a lot about how and why the commentary botched the post-2024 discourse autopsy so hard, and I think it has something with the impulse to depict Trump's victory as larger than life. It wasn't. It was narrow situational win that we could have avoided. It is also because of the same ambitions that the Democrats have had consistently. The real reason why they botched this, okay, the real reason why they fucking botched this is because I was there. I fucking told them, and they wouldn't listen. I was a part of the autopsy conversations as well. Whenever they fucking ask, like, oh, the Joe Rogan to the left, the Joe Rogan to the left, the Joe Rogan to the left, like every part of that conversation, I would say it's not about the medium, it's about the message. It's not about finding, a million Joe Rogans to the left that are going to be Democrats. It's about the policies. This is the problem at the heart of the Democratic Party, that they do not center the issues of the working class in their politics, okay? And they did not listen. And the reason why they did not listen is because they just didn't want to change. So the autopsy in that situation wasn't actually because the autopsy was a failure in that situation. It wasn't a failure because it was because they were just like too stupid to understand the problem. For some it was, right? But for many in the establishment wing of the party, the reason why they failed to recognize the failure to recognize the actual problems was actually deliberate. They did not want to change their trajectory. They still want to be a neoliberal centrist party. Win or lose, they want to maintain neoliberalism. Trump might be dead, not a drill. Shut the fuck up. Yeah, one of the funniest parts about this conversation was like when I kept talking about like the Democrats cannot podcast their way out of this problem. Okay. Ken Martin, who after this interview took place on CNN actually did end up becoming the DNC chair. But Ken Martin listened to me on a CNN hit, right? CNN was interviewing all the candidates for DNC chair. Ken Martin, who ended up becoming the DNC chair, was the person who they showed that clip to, okay? And I still remember, CNN played that clip of me saying, the Democrats don't understand. It's not just about the medium. It's not just about finding a Joe Rogan to the left. You cannot podcast your way out of this problem. You actually have to retailor your policies around the material harm that the working class is experiencing. Ken Martin heard that and said, I agree with Hassan on everything he said. And that's why we need a Joe Rogan to the left. It was such a perfect distillation of all of the fucking anger and resentment I have to those with institutional power in the Democratic Party. I was just like, are you fucking serious? Here's the video. Yeah.
All right, this comes as Democrats right now.
No, but this is not the actual. Oh, here it is. Yeah. Here. This is perfect. Here. Yes. Look.
5. You're still operating on the old boundaries. You're like, no, Israel's the most moral democracy in the Middle East, maybe in the world, right? Like, and I think that the major generational divide that is, I think, in a very damaging way, feeding into the mistrust overall that people have with mainstream news in general, is coming from that.
Joni O'Sullivan, CNN, Los Angeles.
Yeah, it was so thoughtful and important to hear that. Ken Martin is out.
So that's not the last note, though, because I say, look, here, right here. Look, this is the main point I was making here.
It's 100% a policy thing.
Because I'll say, right?
Look.
Well, I think that they need to change their policies.
It's a policy thing.
Yes, it's 100% a policy thing.
Because I'll say, right?
Which is the boring answer. Although it would be very self-serving for me to say, I'm the left's Joe Rogan, the Democratic Party should give me millions of dollars. That's not going to solve this problem. What will solve this problem is if the Democratic Party actually adopts real left-wing economic populist messaging instead of purposefully avoiding that stuff because they're terrified of upsetting their corporate donors. I think Trump speaks to mail insecurities better, and I think...
So, anyway, so that was the major point I was making, right? You can't podcast your way out of this problem. Let's look at Ken Martin's reflection on this.
Important to hear that. Ken Martin is out front. He is running to be the next chair of the DNC. He's the current chairman of the Minnesota Democratic Farmer Labor Party. And I really appreciate your time, Ken. So, you hear Hassan Piker. 7.5 million people watched him on an election night. He's all in as a Democrat. But then he's talking to Doney about how the video game and fitness space online is dominated by right-wing people talking about it, right? Not necessarily everyone into fitness, right? That there's that gap. And he says that Trump speaks to male insecurities better. He speaks to the anger that people have, and that Democrats don't speak to that anger at all. I'm quoting Hassan here. He's very direct about the problem. Do you agree with him?
Well, first off, Aaron, thanks for having me on tonight. And actually, I think Hassan's right in most of what he says there, and particularly as it relates to the fact that the Republicans have been, since the 2020 election, a constant drumbeat of misinformation, disinformation, and lies on platforms that the Democratic Party really wasn't competing in. We live in a 24/7, 365-day information environment now that we have to be competing in a much better way. Podcasts, streaming services, TikTok, social media, of course. My two boys, 22 and 20, they get their information from TikTok, right? And so we have...
They just, they go, okay, I think the solution is podcast more. This was almost a year ago at this point. She specifically asked him about that, though. I know. The media framing on this is always on the aesthetic side. How do I stream with the song for one day and see more hate online than 5 years of streaming put together? People got to chill the fuck out. Welcome to the fucking big leagues, Jake and Bake. This is my everyday existence, big dog. Unfortunately, you just got to tune it out. This problem, or this bad read, this inability to make the appropriate assessment by the Democrats, I think, is more cynical than attributed to stupidity. Okay? It's more cynical. I think it's because a lot of the analysts and a lot of the consultant class want to make sure that they just still abide by the old method, the corporate, the corporate cynicism that we experience, that we see in the Democratic Party's messaging, the smug elitism that we encounter from their messaging actually comes from a place of wanting to win or lose by their own methods. Win or lose, they want to maintain their grip of power. Okay? They want to still control the levers of the party. They want to still maintain a private-public partnership agenda, a neoliberal agenda. They do not want to actually move in the direction of socialism. They are zealots. They are ideological zealots. And that is the reason why when they look to Zoran Mamdani's victory, his unprecedented, unexpected success, both in the primary and in the general, they say, oh, it's because of social media. Oh, it's because he's charismatic. Oh, because he smiles a lot. It was a joyful candidacy. And while all of those things are a factor to his success, the it factor, if I were to identify one, would be that he identified the fucking 5 key things that people were suffering from and said, I am going to sincerely fight for you and tackle these issues for you. At its base, that is what democracy is. That is what small d democracy is. That's what the democratic process is supposed to be. But in our duopoly, we have forgotten about that key principle, the fundamental democratic principle. Are you paid by the Republicans to denounce the Dems? Can we watch Son of the Century? Yeah. I'm paid by the Republican Party to denounce the Democrats so that I can make the Democrats a more effective party against the Republicans because I want to fucking defeat the Republicans, unlike the Democrats who want to become the Republicans. No, I hate Republican politicians. I hate conservatism. I hate reactionary politics. I abhor these things. I think they're very violent in its most maximalist. When it reaches its logical conclusion, it is incredibly violent. I think it's not a good worldview. It's not productive. It's not positive. It's not good. And my anger and resentment towards the Democrats actually stems from the fact that they are far too close to the Republicans in policy. And for that reason, they end up losing. And even if they do win, they still maintain the same neoliberal attitude that causes frustration within the base. It's too little, too late. It's too marginal. It's too inconsequential. That's it. That's the problem. That's the frustration. That's where the anger stems from. That's where the resentment stems from. Not like a secret op to the Democrats or anything, okay? I think that is just pure copium from Democrats who want to feel as though their worldview, who are frustrated and don't want their worldview to be questioned, okay? Get to the IRL, little bro, in half an hour.
Get to in this show, including newly released emails from accused sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein, raising questions about what President Trump may have known.
We'll have more on that in just a moment. But first, have you heard? I know you have. The government shutdown is officially over. After 43 days, the president signed a bill last night to reopen the government. Now, most Democrats, though, oppose this legislation because it does not address the rising health care costs. Nicole Killian is on Capitol Hill. Nicole, I know there's a lot of relief, but there's also a lot of frustration. But here's a big question. How soon could things get back to normal?
Hey, good morning to you, Gail. Thousands of federal workers are expected to be back on the job as soon as today and should get paid soon. Most SNAP recipients should see their benefits restored quickly, and Smithsonian museums here in the nation's capital will reopen in the coming days.
With the stroke of his pen, President Trump ended the longest government shutdown in U.S. history.
I hope we can all agree that the government should never be shut down again.
The bill is passed. The law took effect immediately after the House narrowly approved the funding package, with 6 Democrats crossing party lines to join Republicans.
What do you think of the Democrats who supported the package tonight?
They did the right thing. The measure extends government funding through January 30th, pays back federal workers while reinstating those who were fired, and guarantees SNAP or food assistance benefits for a full year.
I will be casting my vote as a no. In fact, it will be a hell no.
And vote yes. If not, you're the ones that are taking money from needy families.
Democrats largely oppose the legislation, arguing it failed to extend Affordable Care Act tax credits for 20 million Americans facing rising health insurance premiums.
This fight is not over. We're just getting started.
Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries filed a petition to force a vote to guarantee the subsidies for the next 3 years.
Are you still willing to negotiate on this issue with Republicans?
We've always been willing to negotiate in a bipartisan way, but Republicans have been unwilling to sit down and even have a conversation with Democrats.
Michael Gallantly heads a union for federal workers in Utah and questioned whether the shutdown was worth it.
It's kind of demoralizing, frankly, frustrating. I and my people are just trying to work for the American people.
President Trump said he's open to working with Democrats on health care, although he's made clear that he believes the Affordable Care Act, or Obamacare, should be overhauled. He also called for an end to the filibuster, a long-standing tradition in the Senate to...
What is this? Hassan Biker has 4.5 million followers on Twitch and YouTube, is attempting to normalize the Chinese Communist Party. He's holding it up as something for America to emulate, disgusting and un-American, also entirely unsurprising. Cyrus Janison, speaker, YouTuber discussing China and geopolitics around the world, says, there is nothing wrong with the segment or anything said in this video. Michael is an aggressive China hawk who will always paint anything related to China in a negative light, when the simple reality is that China does provide many lessons for Westerners and specifically Americans to learn. Saying that is not anti-American. That's a shallow argument from Michael, who wants you to believe that China is our enemy and that the U.S. should not be doing business with China. What is the reality? Even POTUS recently met with Xi Jinping and struck a trade deal for one simple reason. The U.S. economy would collapse without China, and the Chinese economy also needs the U.S. market. The U.S. has had diplomatic and trade relations with China for over 60 years, and the American lifestyle that we know of and love would not be possible without China. There's nothing wrong with traveling to China, experiencing it, trying to learn what lessons we can bring back to America. Notice what Piker said here. I want high-speed rail in America. The simple reality is that China is a lot more similar to life in America than most people believe. China is a normal country like everywhere else in the world. People are working hard, families spend time together, and if you go to China with an open mind, you'll find Chinese people are very welcoming to foreigners, especially Americans, and are very proud of how fast and rapid their country has developed in recent years. This is 100% true. Like 100%, this is my experience as well, for the record. Michael has had the typical American exceptionalism mindset that is toxic and not conductive to being a world citizen. The U.S. is a great country, but we need to stop lying to ourselves that the American way of life is superior. There are dozens of countries around the world that can make the argument of being better in many aspects of quality of life. I'm proud to be a U.S. citizen, but also realize there's a lot to learn from others, China included, and I'm glad the international tourism to China has skyrocketed in the past 2 years, as more and more people go to China and discover it themselves. Viewpoints like Michael's are outdated and quickly declining in popularity. It's just like, ironically enough, what they call what I'm doing propaganda, and they use the term propaganda in a negative fashion, obviously, right? But like what they declare to be propaganda is actually what they declare to be propaganda is unironically them trying to do propaganda. It's cutting through the fucking noise. But that's precisely the reason why they just have to like clip chimp and fearmonger and constantly be like, don't look over there, don't look over there, don't look over there, don't look over there, don't look over there. They compare you going to China to others going to Israel and how you are a hypocrite. Yeah, okay. Promo tweet. Oh, it came out. Mega U.S. influencer Hassan Piker explains why he's in China. Hassan, also known as Hasanabi, is a prominent Twitch streamer offering political commentary and media analysis. A content creator, influencer, political commentator who speaks to young Americans like mainstream media could only dream of. His unique take on current affairs has helped him amass a combined 4.5 million on Twitch, followers on Twitch and YouTube.
I also wanted to show my audience and the Western world in general that there are a lot of rumors about China. There's a lot of misunderstandings and also just outright lies, and that it's just another normal country, just like every other country is.
This is Hassan Piker, an American online streamer, influencer, and a political commentator who wields significant influence over the young demographic in the US. He's known for his daily streams featuring political commentary and media analysis, and has amassed a combined 4.5 million followers on Twitch and YouTube. In his streams, he often discusses China's development with his viewers. Now, he has finally taken his first trip to China.
I know Beijing's your first stop in your whole travel plan.
I think it's the same clip. We watched this already.
Event, future.
The 5, AOC made this whole thing up. Oh my God.
The socialist fever in the Democratic Party seems to be spreading after Zoran Mamdani's win in New York City. Over in Seattle, they have just elected a socialist mayor, Katie Wilson, an inexperienced far-left radical who got financial support from her parents. She's on track to take down the incumbent Democratic mayor who has worked in city politics for almost 2 decades. AOC, meanwhile, is trying to get Trump voters in on the communist revolution.
I fully welcome Trump voters into our coalition. And I know that sounds crazy to some people, but just hear me out. I cannot tell you, it just happened to me like 2 weeks ago. I can't tell you how many times someone has pulled me aside and said either I was once a big Trump voter and a Trump supporter, and I watched Fox News every day, but then I started to kind of expand my world and where I got information. And now I've learned, and now I've changed, and I'm with you, and I learn from you.
But will Trump voters really feel at home in the current Democratic Party? Former MSNBC host Chris Matthews notes how they turned into a party of snobs.
Democrats were an urban and a rural party.
They're still that.
Are they a rural party?
The people that didn't get a college are voting for Trump. Why? Because of snobbery and attitude.
Pennsylvania Democratic Senator John Fetterman, who earlier today got rushed to the hospital after a fall near his home in Pennsylvania, and thankfully he's doing okay. But before that scary incident I mentioned, he was talking about the level of hatred he gets on social media.
I love that the socialist division, the socialist flank of the Democratic Party, has actually finally made Republicans start to create this distinction between normal Democrats and socialist Democrats. Notice how these very same guys, MHUD, everyone has been stealing your clip. They've been posting it on Twitter. I'm letting you know, you're too late to the game. Megaphonics was the first, of course, expected to come in and be like, this is what happened to John Fetterman. They found the video. That's fine. Oh no, it's spreading. I'm assuming there will be, by the end of today, there will be like at least 100,000 people who genuinely think this is the actual video of John Fetterman falling. Also, what I was saying is the actual left populist flank of the Democratic Party, the socialist flank of the Democratic Party, has caused the Republicans who say Nancy Pelosi is a communist to literally go back and be like, actually, never mind. Those are the real Democrats. Those are the good Democrats. What happened? I thought Democrats were entirely a communist party. What the fuck happened? What happened? Now they're even defending Democrats. How did this happen? Perhaps there is a lesson to be learned from this. Perhaps the lesson for establishment Democrats and centrist Democrats is not to actually fight back against their left flank, but to lean into it, because that ends up creating a threat for the Republicans, so much so that they start backpedaling. They get on the defensive. They start trying to show centrist Democrats as the reasonable position. It's so funny seeing Fox News talk about how we want a strong Democratic Party for the first time ever. Okay? Normally, that's just that's what Nancy Pelosi used to say, right? You don't hear that from anybody else. I ain't never heard a Republican talk about good Democrats until some real fighters came around and they decided, oh, fuck, we had it too good for too long. Didn't even realize that there was a real threat out here. Anyway, yeah, this is not actually John Fetterman. I have to keep saying that because I know someone's going to fall for this misinformation eventually. I think that they're realizing that Trump had motion and momentum because he leaned into the base. He leaned into the demands of the base and he highlighted them and he won. I mean, he saw a lot of success for that reason. And there was a lot of internal resistance at first. And then they became the Trump party. And not only did they become the Trump party, but American politics was redefined by Donald Trump. Just as American politics was redefined by Ronald Reagan, and just as American politics was redefined by FDR, Trump was a Trump was a transformational figure for American politics. Okay? Obviously, FDR is the only good example of this, by the way. The positive transformation. Reagan is a negative one, and Trump is also a negative one. But my point is, they are fearful of also, Republicans are fearful of the Democrats having a similar transformational figure in the Democratic Party. Okay? That's what they are afraid of. They're afraid of a Trump-style figure rising from the left, rising from the socialist alternative flank of the party that will, of course, lean into the desires of the base of support within the Democratic Party and basically recreate an FDR 2.0 style situation, if not even better than that, right? Move American policymaking and American infrastructure in a positive direction for once, after decades of stagnation or deterioration.
For members of his own party.
The right would say really rough things and names. You know, some names I won't repeat on TV, but the on the left, it was like they want me to die, or that we're cheering for your next stroke, or that's terrible that depression won. Why couldn't it depression won? And I hope your kids find you. I mean, they even have like the graphic, a GIF where they have like a stroke, in your head.
Greg, there's a slew of secret socialists whispering in AOC's ear.
Yeah, I love, she says, I can't tell you how many times Trump supporters have come up to me and said, yes on Democrat socialism, and I can learn from you. Well, I can tell you how many. 0. Didn't happen. She made it up. Because one thing you know about Trump supporters, they're pretty solid on their beliefs about socialism. They make it pretty clear. That's like a dog saying, I can't believe how many times a fire hydrant has come up to me and said, hey, I really like getting peed on. Because that's what socialists look at America as a petri dish. We're the lab rats in their experiment. AOC is saying, lab rats, come join us. Embrace your tormentors. All socialists begin by saying they're Democrat socialists. And then when that fails, they drop the adjective, they go full authoritarian. Look at Venezuela. The leader, I can't remember, was it?
Buttfeld. They are desperate to talk about anything other than Epstein, huh? Yeah. Yep.
The ugly guy or the other guy.
Talking about, by the way?
He pushed socialism for the 21st century. That was the slogan. Then he quickly shifted.
Oh my God. No. Wait, because I've tweeted this GIF at him dozens of times. I'm so glad he's seeing our work. Oh my God, that's the GIF he's talking about. Oh my God. Completely asinine lol. He tries to come off as an intellectual with all them bullshit ass papers in front of him. What a joke. I mean, he has a fucking poop mug in front of him. I don't think he's trying to come across as an intellectual. These guys abhor intellectualism. They genuinely think it's like a negative thing. They want an uneducated populace. They want the base to be stupid, angry, resistant to change in the positive direction, lacking hope. They love their stupids. They, in many instances, they're actually much more intelligent than they let on, I would say. Maybe not Greg Buttfeld, but...
Authoritarianism he took control of the military, took control of the courts, took control of the elections, concentrated power. That's what happens. There's no such thing as Democrat socialism. It's just socialism. There's a class system here. It's the people who make decisions and the rest of us. Trump's role in that bifurcation, he's the agent on behalf of the rest of us. He's our a-hole lawyer that protects us from the elites. AOC pretends that it's the same role that they provide, that you can just simply switch lawyers. Come over to our side. She is actually arguing on the power structure that made our lives hell. Think about everything that she's done. She was for defunding the police, higher taxes, more regulation. She chased Amazon out of New York. She's pro-sanctuary and trans, cashless bail. None of these things, any Trump supporter would ever go for. So she's making this whole thing up. As for Fetterman, he touched on the hierarchy of smears. And I said it before, you can call me Hitler means that I can call you fat. Because in the hierarchy of smears, you left a whole lot of turf under Hitler. We will insult you till the cows come home. Shout out to The View. But we don't wish you're dead. We don't wish you're dead, but it's great because the personal smears hurt more because I can look in the mirror and go, I know I'm not Hitler. But when they look in the mirror, they go, yeah, they're right, I'm fat.
You're not fat, Greg.
No, I was talking about Haley, you pilgrim.
Whoops. I do look like a pilgrim today. Sorry about that. Should have saved it for Thanksgiving. Dana, there's this mixed message where we're told there's no socialist takeover, and yet in Seattle you have a socialist winning. In New York City, you have the whispering socialist, AOC.
Yeah, so I've been pretty interested in all of this for a while because when Zohran Mamdani was on the upswing, I looked around and I said, guys, it's coming to a city near you. And we looked, yes, in Minnesota, he tried but failed. But in Seattle, I was interested in this race because the other guy that was running is a diverse guy who grew up with nothing, worked very hard, worked his way up. And she, again, borrowed money from her parents to do all of this. She and her husband choose to live in a 600 square foot studio apartment with a toddler. And she says, you too can live like me. Right. And now, but the other Democratic choice, and it's not that the guy who worked really hard and worked his way up was a Republican. He's not. He's a Democrat. And he's sitting there looking around going, wait, what? Wasn't I like the poster child for what we were going to be? The DSA has been quietly and systematically working to build their troops. And bad policy will beat no policy every time. They're super smart about it. They know how to organize. They have.
Yeah, you know what's even better than bad policy that beats no policy? Good policy. Bad policy beats no policy is the Republican method. Republicans do bad policy, and it beats the Democratic Party's no policy. But what's even better than bad policy is good policy. And that's precisely what the socialist flank is trying to develop, is trying to build.
This is where you can learn how to speak better. They are teaching people how to go and be persuasive. Now, in a lot of ways, to me, it's like the counter to Turning Point USA. And thankfully, Turning Point USA is growing so much. And their mission is assured because of Erica Kirk's stewardship there. And they're going to need them because Peter Thiel, who's an amazing entrepreneur and somebody, a technologist, he also says that it's understandable why younger people today are pulled in this direction because they feel that capitalism is not working for them. So if they're only getting that message and not hearing from anybody else, then that is going to win every single time. And that young white woman, the awful, she is going to end up probably beating the guy who worked his way up through the Democratic Party. And he's now the establishment, and they don't want the establishment. Even if he checks all of the boxes, if he is not socialist, they don't want him.
I think that's a fascinating way. I'd not thought about that. The DSA as the other side of the coin to Turning Point. I think that's spot on. It's terrifying, Jesse.
I'm not terrified.
The DSA literally does not have the same institutional legitimacy within the Democratic Party as the Turning Point USA does within the Republican Party. It's not even an appropriate comparison, and they already recognize that it's not an appropriate comparison when they say it's actually they're building their ranks from the side. You wouldn't say that about Turning Point USA because TPUSA is completely aligned, if not directly a weapon, directly a part of the Republican Party infrastructure. Also, my queen, Jessica Tarlov, is not on this panel I'm seeing.
Just don't scare me. If you have a mayor who's out of control and she's a socialist and she runs one of these big cities, the president has to do his job and the governor has to do his job. You're basically babysitting a bunch of children. If they're not going to keep the streets safe, if they're not going to build new housing, you just got to Bigfoot them and come in. Now, the AOC thing. It's funny that she said that because the other day some black lesbian came up to me and she said, "I've had it. I'm ultra MAGA." It happens to me all the time. You'd be surprised. Sure. I actually know people that went the other way. They were pretty famous. I think his name was...
He is so fucking gross and unbearable. Jesus Christ. Thank God my queen, Jessica, doesn't have to sit through this, at least today, you know? As someone who works in policy, which theoretically apolitical in nature, there's a growing sentiment that all Trump has really done is expose who wasn't leading, but was adopting buzzwords without any understanding of root cause or systemic / transformative change. They misunderstood the left so hard they accidentally made a left-shaped size door to lead towards change. Why is the right doing identity politics now? Because they are, because they're losing, okay? Or they're at least very fearful of losing. And when you are losing, you hit the fucking back pedal, okay? You start behaving like Democrats do. Also, Republicans have always done identity politics, let's be real, as the chatters are correctly pointing out. When have they not done IDPOL? They just do white IDPOL, usually. And they do a shittier version of like, the token IDPOL. But that's still very much IDPOL in the direction of white men in particular. Here's also Jesse Waters on his own show, apparently having it tough. Jesse Waters so awfully bricked my internet, dude. He bricked my Google Chrome. God damn it. God damn it, Jesse. Why'd you do this to me? Come on. Come on. Shit. Wait, it worked. Never mind. Turned on the task manager and started working again. Okay, let's take a look.
So they're launching a smear campaign disguised as a bombshell. The Jeffrey Epstein emails. Congress is dumping thousands of documents, and Democrats are using them to frame Trump. But we've been combing through them and can't find anything nailing Trump. Even Axios says the emails contained no real smoking gun. The files do show Epstein's deep ties to liberals, like anti-Trump author Michael Wolff. So they're launching a smear campaign disguised as a bombshell. The Jeffrey Epstein.
Okay. Once again, it's a testament to how bad the Democrats are, I guess, that they just didn't deploy this tactic during the election, which is a question that I do have for the Democrats in general.
I think Tulsi. I think Musk, I think Rogan, and everybody forgets my good friend Jeff Van Drew. These are people who did leave the Democrat Party and came to be ultra MAGA, and that's fine. You swing back, and people do swing. And that's why, Greg, don't look at me like that. But that's why this administration has to go blank to the wall before the midterms, or else they're going to get whacked on costs. The snob factor. What's changed is 20 years ago, you'd probably do your best to hide your snobbery. Today, you broadcast it. You just casually drop in conversation that, Dartmouth keeps hitting me up for donations. Like, when will they stop? Or like my Guatemalan housekeeper, she left for like 2 weeks. I don't know what I'm going to do. And what this does, it's so alienating and it's so off-putting that you feel like you're living in another country. And at a certain point, a lot of the middle and working class, they do feel like they're living in another country. And that's why you have people that like, what's a pronoun? I remember on this show last year.
It's so funny. They're like, please, can we get back to culture war, please? Please, 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 I'm begging. Please, dude, think about how good things were when we were talking about culture war stuff. Don't Don't do this socialism stuff. Socialism means transgender for all. That's what it means. Please. Awesome.
I didn't know what a trans was. I still don't understand what that means. And I don't care how many times Harold tries to explain it.
I've never tried to explain
it. Greg is right. You hear us talk about Biden. He's sleepy, he's slow, he's corrupt, he's incompetent. But we don't want him dead. But the way they talk about Trump, this guy's a Nazi, needs to die in prison. What they said about Charlie, what they said about Fetterman. And I wrote a book about this. I don't know if you guys remember. It's called Get It Together, still available where books are sold. It's about your deep-seated insecurities. He's gotten me to read the Bible. I'm reading about sin. And this is all based in envy. Now, it's the one sin that doesn't feel good.
Wow.
And that's what they all have. They're envious.
What about the one of murdering someone?
Harold, that's a good legacy to leave, getting Jesse to read the Bible.
Two most important commandments are love the.
Zoran didn't immediately, when he was on stream with Hassan, a man who has literally said that the United States.
Oh, brother. I don't like that I have a permanent state of existence in the minds of some of the dumbest motherfuckers in America, okay? I don't like it. It doesn't bother me when it is actually coming from right-wing reactionaries, but it does bother me when dumb fuck liberals who would otherwise be aligned with my worldview also lean into these things. Like people who would otherwise be on my side, or people who would be like apolitical, or fancy themselves to be apolitical, but are just like kind individuals in general. They get like manipulated by this like endless sequence, this endless barrage of like silly shit. Talk about trans. Look at this dude's tits. Yeah, Barney Frank looked horrible. Nipples protruding, very disrespectful.
Immediately when he was on stream with Hassan.
No, this guy's not a liberal. I'm annoyed that like there used to be a line of defense amongst liberals whenever it was actually right-wingers that were launching these sorts of attacks. But lately, as this fissure has, or as this like delineation, this line of demarcation that has been put on the left flank of the party within the Democratic Party, I have seen more and more centrist liberals who otherwise would be open-minded to the things that we say here, right, on this stream, also lean into these like right-wing smears. Stop looking at his boobs. I can't.
And who has literally said that the United States deserved 9/11.
Why are we talking about Hassan Piker?
Because this is someone that Zoran has allied himself with.
We gotta rewind, because you think it's fine for the President of the United States to not talk about two democratically elected.
No, let's talk. Why don't
state senators. Chat. This man is Hassan Brain.
No, let's talk about Zoran.
No, I'm saying you think it's appropriate for an assemblyman to.
True. That man has got Hassan derangement syndrome.
Talk about October 7th in Israel, but
the
you
next
don't
mayor of
think,
New York City?
No, but you don't think it's appropriate for the. It doesn't make sense. You have unrealistic expectations of an assemblyman from New York to have to condemn a war that's happening not in America when the president of the United States.
Yeah. People who are running to be the mayor of New York City should condemn terrorist attacks.
At the first New York mayoral primary debate, when there was a sea of Democrats, they went one by one asking, where would you visit if you became the next New York mayor? Where would you make a specific trip where you're representing New Yorkers? All of them said Israel, except for Zoran Mamdani. And a lot of very strong Zionists said that's indicative that he is anti-Semitic. But I saw a lot of conservative populists, Charlie Kirk included, who said, hey, he's actually trying to speak to New Yorkers. He's saying that he cares about specifically the people that he will be governing, instead of just capitulating to the demands of the Democratic establishment who wanted him to say something like Israel, or who a majority of them were saying Israel.
Dude, that was such a powerful moment. Like, I think that was a real turning point. That was a real turning point in public discourse.
And I think that everyone
can
agree that's an awesome value. And that's pro-American. That's America first.
Yeah, I think that value is America first, but I also think...
yeah, we can disagree on policy. I'm not saying that you have to endorse his character entirely. But I think that this notion that Zoran Mamdani would be cheering a 9/11, or Zoran Mamdani is inherently anti-Semitic, or Zoran Mamdani is going to prioritize Muslims over all of New Yorkers.
I mean, look at his record.
Zoran Mamdani is focusing on affordability, and that's affordability for all New Yorkers. It's not just for Muslims. It's not anti-Jew. He has built a multiracial coalition of working class people where he has 90,000 volunteers. That is an army.
Hi, everybody. Wow. I'm John Lovett.
This was the panel that we did. Where do the Dems go from here? Oh yeah, this was the watershed moment that paved the way for Mamdani's victory last night. The shifting of focus towards the actual needs of the American people rather than foreign governments such as Israel or Ukraine had already happened on the right. Mamdani was the first Democrat to have the guts to explicitly say that his priority was his constituents and not Israel. It paid off for him. It really did. It really did. That's the reason why you are unintentionally tanking so much of the attacks on the left, leaving others breathing room. Yeah. Dude, they're attacking me more. Every moment that they spend attacking me is a moment that they're not attacking, AOC or anybody else for that matter. It's crazy. Problem is, I do need in my line of defense, I obviously need my community, which I have, and it's awesome. I love my community. But I also still very much need, what the fuck? Is there an earthquake happening? I feel like the ground is shaking a little bit. No. Anyway. Sorry, I took a step. I still need the liberals broadly, like the apolitical people, they just like the Trump haters to also be like, this shit sucks. Calm down. Anyway.
Like a cricket con? Yeah. All right, he's got people. Everybody here has got people everywhere,
We're in the Reagan building, baby. I've co-opted your ass.
Can't lose control just yet. In his 1992 convention speech, Bill Clinton, who is perfect, said of Republicans who were at the time angry about Murphy Brown being a single mom on television, if other politicians make you feel like you are not part of their family, come on and be part of ours. Republicans were the hall monitors, we were welcoming. 3 decades later, Trump found an audience among pretty apolitical comedians and media personalities and their fans who see Democrats as pious and scolding. The Democratic Party is widely reviled. A broad survey of working class voters described Democrats as, quote, woke, weak, and out of touch. Coming out of Tuesday, which was awesome, Semaphores Dave...
Woke Sharia.
What? Yeah.
Woke Sharia, baby.
We're all living in Mamdanistan now. Semaphores Dave Weigel put it best in summarizing the exit polls. What do you think of the Democrats? They stink. Who did you vote for? As many Democrats as possible. So where do we go from here? Joining me, our streamer and political commentator, Hasan Piker. MS Now's Simone Sanders. The Bulwark's Tim Miller. And the co-host of The Five, Fox News' Jessica Tarlov. Tim, I want to start with you, and I want to just concede that this is like a big topic, and it can be hard to teach.
You're doing good. You've helped me become more left. Oh, I'm not depressed at all. I'm not. No, this is not a moment to be depressed. Well, one, because I'm in China and I'm having a fucking amazing time. But two, I'm there's a lot of hope. There was a 4.4 earthquake in Xinjiang. Wait, really? I did feel, maybe I felt it. That's crazy.
Style from substance, strategy, ideology. But I want to start with that 2024 dynamic. You have Trump and his allies on Rogan and a whole bunch of apolitical shows and media. In hindsight, Democrats say, oh, we need Democrats that can go everywhere. They have to go everywhere just like Trump did. But then we look around and we say, well, who are the Democrats that can do that? And as a former Republican, as a pilgrim in an unholy land, who's gone from viewing Democrats being annoying as an asset to a liability, like, where is your head at?
Well, I was happy about the woke Sharia in New York, but you do have to remember that the CIA has taken over in Virginia across the river. So the deep state establishment is also on the rise.
Big tent.
Big tent. You know what, love it. You guys are kind of annoying, and it is something that we're dealing with. And I think that it's important to just accept it and think about it. And the fundamental question that you got to, which was, okay, well, we need a Rogan of our own, or we got to be able to go hang out with these, folks. We got to be appealing more to the comedian set. And then it's like, well, who would go on the podcast? And then it's like, well, are you available? You? Like the list is kind of short, right? And so, we can't create people from scratch, but I think that it's important, when I look back at the mistakes the Democrats made that got us to this place, it's like, in like Biden wins in 20 when everybody's inside, right? So you didn't have to be out there. And then in 22, it's like, well, we didn't have a red wave. So it's like things are going pretty well, right? And so I just think that there was a lot of just inertia and status quo happening. And a lot of the problems that were undergirding that, a lot of things people were frustrated with about COVID or about the not as fun parts of woke Sharia, right? Like there wasn't a lot of reflection on that, and I think that it's good to reflect on it now. And I think that Tuesday was awesome, but just because we did really well on Tuesday because Trump is fucking everything up does not mean that we shouldn't also like think about how we can continue to kind of expand out and appeal to more people.
It seems like Democrats are often in a trap.
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling. I got more sleep than I thought I would. Yeah, that was dumb of you to do.
Which is Trump or one of his acolytes does something genuinely offensive, whether it's attacking or undermining a democratic institution or going after a vulnerable group of people, and Democrats want to defend those people, right? But then at times, sometimes they seem like they're writing their own version of the Federalist Papers, or they are doing what is then described as identity politics. And so how do you fight back against Trump when he's attacking people, when he's making an issue of marginalized groups, without then being seen by a broader group of being
The earthquake in
focused
Xinjiang was 2 days ago? Okay.
less on, say, the economy? Like, how do you square that circle?
Well, you know, I'm from North Omaha, Nebraska. Shout out to the Midwest people in the room. Yes, there are black people. There are black people in Nebraska all over this country, maybe not North Dakota. And so I say that because earlier this summer, a black man who is a Democrat unseated a 3-term Republican mayor in Omaha, Nebraska. And we can clap for that. His name is John Ewing. And John Ewing, I grew up knowing John Ewing. I know him very well. But in that race, like in many other races across this country that have happened since 2024, one of the issues that the Republican candidate tried to pull to the forefront were bathrooms and trans issues. And you know what John Ewing's answer was? Well, first of all, he had an answer. He put up an ad to answer the attacks, which I think is really important. You cannot let attacks go. You cannot allow your opponent, as a former strategist, you cannot have your opponent defining you and you not answering. So that's part of it. I think specifically coming out of 2024, a lot of candidates did not answer the attacks. And some people were just like, oh, no, that's not me. And it's like, well, who are you? But John Ewing put up ads and went out there and did speeches and was on the streets talking to folks doing interviews and whatnot and campaigning and saying, she's doing this because she don't want to talk about the potholes. She doesn't want to talk about the issues that are affecting you. She want to make up this issue that I'm not talking about. She doesn't want to talk about the potholes. And so I think the answer is not to run away from the confrontation. Like, you're not about to make me, as I used to always tell candidates, don't allow these folks, anybody, any of your opponents, to make you believe that you're for an issue that you've never taken up. Like, I don't know what the hesitancy is from some of the campaigns and the strategists over the last, couple of.
What? Are you talking to me? Do you know how the laundry works in this hotel? Oh, fuck. Okay, man was live 4.5 hours ago and it's still going. Yeah, we're about to move out. Yeah, I have to do face recognition. Take a lot of shit in the world, but I wanted to share this little hopeful news. Last night, my own mother finally called me to ask about socialism. She admitted that she was raised under Red Scare messaging and that my little sister's admiration of Zoran made her claim socialism. I've now gotten my sister and mom on board thanks to the stream. Hell yeah. A better future is possible. It's good. We can do it. We can do it. All right, yeah, pull it out. Hold on, I'll throw on the laptop cam. Hold on. Boom. Okay. Aren't you tired, brother? No, never tired. I ain't never scared and never tired. Okay. I'm just putting in my basic identity information. What? Yep, I'm giving it to China, baby. How many of the libs in the audience were already fans of yours? And do you think the panel was surprised by how many of the audience were convinced by you? I think a lot of people know. I think a lot of people that are watching there know. We're doing shotgun, right? Okay. YouTube comments, on the other hand, are probably firmly on my side. Because the Podjohn audience, especially on the YouTube front, is very Hasanabi pilled. We haven't started the Bilibili yet, but we'll do a Bilibili stream as well. Whitelisted it. Yeah. No, it's not that crazy. I mean, they obviously does, they have Chinese streamers that stream from outside of China. Yeah. W's all around. I used to watch the pod channels like 6-7 years ago. 6-7. Crazy how the time between this con and the video coming out, Dems managed to drop the ball again. Notice how uncomfortable everyone gets when Hassan talks about basic lefty policies. Jessica looks surprised when people start clapping. Why are we pretending that socialism is evil and isn't welcome in our party? I want universal health care. I want universal basic income. I want free college. I want free childcare. But Qatar is such a stunningly bad faith argument, lol. Nobody's pro three-Qatar ethno states anywhere. This panel is a perfect showcase of the problems of the Democratic Party. After Jessica's whole bit at the beginning, we already read that one. The whole time Hassan was the DNC criticizing the Kamala campaign. I didn't want to listen. And then as the election happened, I realized he was right about everything, and I'd just been blinded by what I wanted to be true to see it. The Dems need to either listen to what people like him are saying or get out of the way. That's what I mean. That's who I do this for, okay? That's who I do this for. There are people out there who are seeing this stuff, okay? They're recognizing this. I think Zoran's success helps your message to the libs a lot, as you've said, like Zoran. They like Zoran. They saw you supporting him early. Now they trust you more. I know. That's why it's so funny that these people would just like turn around and be like, no, actually Zoran hates Hassan. And I think that's part of the reason why haters do that is because they identify that like that's proof in the pudding style situation, and it's successful.
Hi, everyone.
In any case, I'm going to keep running this podcast that I did with Alex Wagner from 12 hours ago. Okay. And as we go downstairs and move in, where is it? Here's the interview that I did with her. Here it is.
In DC. Thanks for doing this.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
I've been thinking about you in the context of some of the news we've gotten recently, particularly around, I don't know if you've been following what's going on at the Heritage Foundation. And
I've been following.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
I love right-wing infighting. This is the most dangerous type of right-wing infighting, though, because it does seem like it's the inevitable forces of anti-Semitism are winning.
Yeah.
But I'm still in a let them fight position right now.
Seems bad. Let's let them stay at it.
Yeah. Good. Keep having these arguments.
You were on NPR talking about just how much Nazism and anti-Semitism is legitimately sort of like organizing principle on the far right with younger white conservatives. And I kind of wonder, between what's happening at Heritage, the text messages between young Republican leaders talking about Hitler, Trump's nominee saying he has, Nazi tendencies. Can you, first of all, I'm sure you feel validated.
I thought you were talking about J.D. Vance for a second.
Well, it's hard,
or RFK
it's hard
Jr.?
to know.
Were you talking about RFK Jr.
Who
said Trump has Nazi tendencies? Because they both did that.
What?
Big tent.
Can you talk a little bit about what you think that's about?
I mean, yeah, this is like the most principled maximalist position of reactionary politics is always inevitably going to arrive at fascism. That's what it is. If we are to assume that the left flank position in this country in its most aggressive version or its logical conclusion is like something resembling socialism on socialist principles, even though the Democratic Party is a liberal party, and I think it is inherently antagonistic towards that. The maximalist position of right-wing forces is inevitably going to be fascism. Fascism restores stability and order without actually harming the material pecking order in terms of the class structure that exists under capitalism. The wealthy continue to retain their wealth, of course, as long as they don't end up in this expansionist endless militarism, and then they end up failing by force, as we've seen. But that is at the heart of fascism, and that has always been at the heart of the Republican Party. And for years and years, I think people said, "Oh, you're exaggerating. Oh, you're exaggerating." And the reality of the matter is that that is its most that is the fundamental organizing principle of white supremacy. And that has played a major role in the Republican Party. So it was an inevitability that we would arrive at this moment. And so that's where we're at now.
So you're saying it's kind of foundational to conservatism, right?
For sure.
And maybe has been for decades. But it feels like this current iteration of especially young people embracing it maybe the gateway drug was like own the libs, say the most offensive thing you can, which is like praise for Hitler, praise for Nazis, see if you can get a reaction. But what seems now clear is that it's not just about owning the libs anymore. It really is about a fundamental interest in, if not actual embrace of the Third Reich.
Yeah.
Damn, this guy's good.